Chapter 1259. Let's fight, let's fight. Luo Feng sat leisurely within the control room. He could easily see the frenzied attacks of the 7 universe lords outside. However, the absolute treasure star pagoda was simply too powerful. The impact it could truly cause Luo Feng's divine energy to feel was weakened to a negligible level. With Luo Feng's strength, he could totally not be distracted at all. I don't even need to go out, I can use my god energy to permeate the crystal pillar and practice the Emperor Rhino game. Luo Feng smiled. I don't even need to use my god energy to study the game. Virtual universe. Within a single plane, fog swirled around it. There were many stone pillars, and there were also 3-dimensional images on the stone pillars. The left row had a total of 123 pillars, and the right row had a total of 10,080. This Emperor Rhino game, the complete solution and 10,080 game pieces, I've long copied them into the virtual universe. Luo Feng appeared in the center of the pillars, smiling. I can totally focus on studying. No matter what the 3 powers do, it has nothing to do with me. These solutions and endings of the Emperor Shi game, it wasn't because Luo Feng had long predicted he would be surrounded and attacked. It was because the primal Chaos City leader and the creator of Huge Axe knew about the Emperor Shi game, and immediately let Luo Feng simulate it in the virtual universe. Obviously the primal Chaos City leader, Huge Axe and even the other warriors of humanity were very curious about it. The Emperor Rhino game was the most popular game of the ancient civilizations. It was also a form of training. How could Huge Axe and Primal Chaos not be curious? Hence Luo Feng naturally copied it into the virtual universe. He only needed to copy one. With the power of the virtual universe, he could naturally copy more, allowing every universe lord to study it. The Emperor Rhino game is too profound, I need to continue studying it. Luo Feng thought. His consciousness in the virtual universe was only in charge of observation. The true study was in the creator of Huge Axe's small universe. Time flowed like water. Cosmos boat at the cabin door of the grave boat. Purple Moon Sacred Land, East Emperor Sacred Land, you guys don't even have to worry about your lifespans, yet you still want to steal this inheritance? Just you two, do you think you can stop our entire first reincarnation era? Not just our first reincarnation era, I believe the other 2 great eras too want to enter. 2 old bastards, get lost. Get lost. To destroy the hope of our race, I don't care if you are a holy land or not. Everyone, attack together. The battle outside the cabin door was already going crazy. Facing the end of their lifespan, why would they care about the Holy Lands? In front of their lifespan, the strongest experts of the 2 Holy Lands actually dared to join hands to block the cabin door. Wasn't this courting death? Immediately, the 2 strongest experts of the universe and dozens of universe lords joined forces to attack. It was just that the strongest experts of the 2 sacred lands had supreme treasures, so they were unable to break through it for a while. You can obstruct us for a while, but do you think you can obstruct us for much longer? When the other forces arrive, you won't be able to stop them. Damn it, damn it! Bastard Holy Land! Damn it! The experts from the other forces from the first reincarnation era who were stuck outside became even more furious. One must know that the Holy-Eyed clan was merely one of the forces from the first reincarnation era. One-on-one, the sacred lands of the universe were very powerful. However, if compared to the reincarnation era, even if it was the weakest primeval universe era, it would still require the 2 sacred lands to work together. As for the first reincarnation era, there were tens of the strongest in the universe. In terms of strength, even if the 2 sacred lands were combined and multiplied, they would still be far from being a match. Not to mention that this was the era of the 3 great reincarnations. The 2 old fellows from the Purple Moon Sacred Ground and the East Tharch Sacred Ground forcibly blocked the way for more than a year. Following which, the 7 strongest martial artists of the universe led the mighty masters of the universe and charged in. These 7 strongest of the universe quickly helped the 2 sacred lands to stop the newcomers. However, in just half a year, the last batch of 20 strongest of the universe led large numbers of universe lords, sages and undyings to kill their way in. They charged in majestically. Duandong River's selection was obviously much more ruthless, if Luo Feng and the others were to be said to have eliminated half of them back then. That was because there were simply too many candidates. The elimination rate of Universe Lords and Universe Venerables had reached 80%. The elimination rate of Undyings was as high as 99%. The elites of the 3 reincarnation eras and the 2 sacred lands were gathered in the life and death corridor of the tomb boat. The Purple Moon's sacred ground had 11 Universe Lord. The East Deity's sacred ground had 14 Masters of the Universe. In the entire first reincarnation era, there were a total of 6 strongest experts and 126 Lords of the Universe. In the entire second reincarnation era, there was 1 strongest expert in the universe and 32 Lords of the Universe. The Primal Universe era had 21 Universe Lords. From the number of warriors, one could see the determination of the first reincarnation era. Almost every power had sent their elites over. Against the numbers and strength of the first reincarnation era, even the 2 sacred lands could only lower their heads and hide. They no longer had any advantage. The reason why there weren't many strongest warriors in the universe, it was mostly because of the 2 sacred lands. The 2 sacred lands had arranged for Universe Lords, Universe Knights and Undyings, but they didn't arrange for the strongest warriors to enter. This was seen by the 3 reincarnation eras. They also understood that in terms of strength and knowledge, the 3 reincarnation eras couldn't compare to the 2 sacred lands. The 2 sacred lands, which had always been very special in the past, had sent in large numbers. Obviously, this inheritance was very important. Secondly, the fact that the sacred lands didn't arrange for the strongest warriors meant that the strongest warriors wouldn't be of much use here. Hence, other than the 2 strongest warriors from the God-eyed race, the other powers weren't so blind anymore. Only the first reincarnation era that was driven crazy by the time limit sent a total of 6. The second reincarnation era only sent 1, and it was a lone wolf. The Primal Universe era didn't even send a single strongest warrior. Rumble! Rumble! More than a dozen Lords of the Universe brandished supreme treasures used for close-quarters combat and roared as they attacked the blood-colored tower. Boom after boom, the entire life and death corridor trembled. What's going on? Who are the Universe Lords attacking? The tower that's being attacked belongs to the Primal Universe Lord. Milky Way Lord. Rumor has it that Milky Way Lord has the highest chance of receiving the inheritance, hence the various powers are trying their best to affect his comprehension. The Undyings communicated amongst themselves. There were simply too many Undyings present. Like the first reincarnation era, almost every power brought thousands to tens of thousands of Undyings. Even the God-eyed race sent another batch of Undyings over. This resulted in the 3 reincarnation eras and 2 sacred lands Undyings candidates. Even after filtering, they still neared 100,000. The total number of Universe Lords was close to 3,000. The number of Universe Lords was close to 200. This was the current situation within the life and death corridor. Human Milky Way, even you want to receive the inheritance? Attack! This bastard. The various powers would occasionally send their warriors to attack, almost as though Luo Feng had become their punching bag. Anyone would dare to attack. Within the Star Pagoda, Luo Feng opened his eyes and sneered as he looked outside. Go on, when I receive the inheritance you'll all be stunned. However, Duandong River seems like he really wants to pick a good inheritor, actually sending so many candidates. Even my Great Alliance has sent so many. The Primal Universe era was the weakest this time, plus they sent very few warriors, hence they all worked together. Humans, bug race, demon race, automaton race, crystal race, prison race, space beast alliance, ancestral god sect, all the powers of the primal universe allied together, sending out a large number of experts, especially the Undyings, over 100,000, all of them charged over. However, after going through the selection process, after filtering, those that were able to enter Emperor Shi's game were much lesser, of which the Great Alliance had 1 Universe Lord Pungong Master, 9 Universe Lords, and 102 Undyings. How pitiful! The Milky Way leader has become everyone's target. It's a pity we have no choice. The 21 Universe Lords of the Primal Universe gathered together. Pungong Master saw the other reincarnation eras and the 2 sacred lands frequently attacking Luofeng. His expression was ugly, yet he had no choice. And the Bug Clan, Demon Clan, Prison Clan, even though they spoke nicely, they were probably gloating within. They weren't willing to see the humans grow stronger. No matter how chaotic the outside world was, Luofeng continued to quietly study the Emperor Shi game. Time flowed like water, year after year passed. In the blink of an eye, close to 500 years had passed. He originally thought that the test of the Emperor Shi game wouldn't be too long, however the truth proved that it was, and the difficulty of the game made the elites of the 3 reincarnation eras and 2 sacred lands truly feel it. 999th game solved successfully. Virtual Universe, Independent Space. Luofeng stood before the 1000th game's 3D image, carefully studying it. These close to 500 years, as the game was solved one after another, the amount of time Luofeng took to solve each game kept increasing, getting slower and slower. He actually spent close to 500 years before perfectly solving the 999th game. 1000th game, so difficult. Luofeng had a feeling that this 1000th game would be a bottleneck. Luofeng. Within the virtual universe, when Luofeng was studying the 1000th game's 3D image, a white-robed man was standing not too far away. This white-robed man's eyes were like jade, faintly containing the mysteries of the entire universe. He had a smile on his face, almost like he was on a vacation, leisurely and carefree. Indeed worthy of being Luofeng. The white-robed man observed from afar, however Luofeng's eyes could see in this direction, yet it was as though he couldn't see. In the virtual universe, even the creator of the huge axe couldn't do it. Only the creator of the virtual universe, the ancestor. Only the ancestor could do it, even before Luofeng. Luofeng didn't feel anything. His training time is extremely short, his willpower is extremely strong. The white-robed man complimented softly. He's walking the engraving school again. It could be that it's similar to the Emperor Shi game, otherwise, even the huge axe's speed wouldn't be so far behind him. Humanity's strong warriors also studied the Emperor Shi game through the virtual universe. The ancestor, naturally he knew of their progress. He was shocked to find that Luofeng's comprehension speed far surpassed any of the universe lords. Even the huge axe couldn't compare to Luofeng, from the inheritance. Undying, Knight, Universe Lord, the strongest of the universe, these 4 levels, their foundations are completely different, their comprehension speeds are fundamentally different. I reckon the selection test requirements are different too. The white-robed man nodded. Luofeng is only a universe knight, the requirements shouldn't be high, yet he can still comprehend so quickly, it's no wonder he was targeted by Broken East River. Engraving school, the white-robed man shook his head. Emperor Shi game? Interesting. Huge axe's research and deduction are obviously much weaker. He's too stupid, only loving the axe. The white-robed man shook his head. Otherwise, the universe's strongest wouldn't have such a comprehension speed as Luofeng's. Emperor Shi game, it's indeed interesting. The white-robed man walked beside Luofeng, who sat cross-legged, didn't seem to notice at all. If I was only a universe knight, I wouldn't be able to match up to this Luofeng. The white-robed man shook his head. His foundations were extremely high. In terms of strength, even the huge axe couldn't compare to him, Even after being suppressed for countless years, his body had become even stronger, it was just that he couldn't leave. This 2000th game, how do I solve it? The white-robed man walked to the front of the 2000th round and frowned slightly. He was originally a genius with unfathomable talent, and the virtual universe had to maintain the requirements of countless living beings every day. In terms of deducing secret techniques, he was much more heaven-defying and proficient in them. Emperor Shi? What kind of being is this, to be able to create such an unbelievable thing? The white-robed man stood beside Luo Feng, quietly studying. The time flow around him was maintained at 10,000 times. As the creator of the virtual universe, he could indeed make time flow 10,000 times in a small area. Luo Feng and the ancestor were adjacent, however Luo Feng himself didn't even know there was an ancestor beside him. In the tomb boat, in the corridor of life and death, there were tens of thousands of stone pillars with three-dimensional shadows on them. At the same time, there was a large number of crystal pillars, each corresponding to a candidate. Many experts were silently comprehending. Of course there were 10 universe lords attacking the blood-colored tower, disrupting Luo Feng's training. Actually, as time went on, even though Luo Feng and the others had entered a year or two earlier, as the Emperor Shi game had lasted for over 500 years, they didn't have much of an advantage. They didn't think Luo Feng had much hope. It was just that after attacking for too long, most universe lords who were tired of studying would attack Luo Feng. Ding! Dong! A sound resounded, almost as though it resounded within every warrior's heart. What's going on? Duan-Dong River. Look, Duan-Dong River. From the strongest warriors of the universe to the Undyings, the close to 100,000 candidates all looked over. In mid-air, the light condensed into a silhouette. It was the green-haired Duan-Dong He. He gazed below, his gaze landing on the blood-colored tower. His voice resounded, "Candidate, the human Milky Way has reached the requirements to solve the game." What? That human Milky Way leader has reached the requirements? Everyone was shocked. If at the start they treated Luo Feng as a huge threat, after over 500 years of study, they didn't think of him as much of a threat anymore. They didn't believe that after so many people, none of them could catch up to him. Silence. Duan-Dong He's gaze swept. There was silence. Duan-Dong He looked at the blood-colored tower. "Milky Way, come out." Duan-Dong He said. Shwa, the blood-colored tower vanished. A silver-armored black-haired Luo Feng stood there, bowing. "Lord Duan-Dong He. That's the human Milky Way leader." Milky Way leader? The Undyings all stared wide-eyed at the distant glaring silhouette. Luo Feng himself understood why Duan-Dong He appeared, because he had just solved the 1000th game. The reason why he was the first to succeed. 1 was because his study speed was indeed fast, 2 was because he was a universe knight. He guessed that different levels of strength would have different requirement. Milky Way. Duan-Dong He gazed at Luo Feng. Luo Feng slightly bowed, not caring about the envious and jealous warriors from the other powers. Even though you've reached the requirements, there's still a long time before the test. Continue studying. Duan-Dong He said, "The more you study and solve, the more benefits you'll get from the inheritance in the future." Yes. Luo Feng replied. "Focus on studying, no one can hurt you." Duan-Dong He pointed. Hua. The crystal pillar beside Luo Feng suddenly let out a misty half-sphere of light, almost like a huge misty palace. It enveloped Luo Feng. The entire palace was gold in color, on it countless engravings flowed. Just the power it emitted was enough to make all the warriors here tremble. Whoever dares to attack the human Milky Way, Duan-Dong He's gaze swept around, will be eliminated and killed. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1260. Kill. The moment Duan-Dong He's words were spoken, the 3 great reincarnation eras and 2 sacred lands gathered in the life and death corridor all felt their hearts tremble. Other than Great Alliance, the other warriors all felt anxiety, rage, unwillingness and many other emotions. Originally, the long period of research had made them think that Luo Feng, who was 1 or 2 years ahead, wasn't much of a threat. However, they didn't expect. The first to reach the requirement was actually Luo Feng. Big trouble. This is bad. That damned human, the ancestor has long ordered us to disregard everything and take the inheritance. The warriors were all filled with rage and anxiety. Purple Moon Sacred Lands group of universe lords were communicating. Deerbug frowned and communicated, I have no choice. From the start, this Duandong he has been treating Luo Feng very well. And now he's the first to reach the requirement to solve the Shi Emperor game. As the saying goes, the faster the faster the faster. If this continues, his advantage will only get bigger and bigger. When that happens, our chances of getting the inheritance will be even smaller. Deerbug leader, why don't we kill this Luo Feng? Right, Deerbug leader, we'll kill him. Even if we're killed by Duandong he, we have to kill Luo Feng and destroy humanity's chance. Deerbug leader communicated, don't be anxious. Not only are we anxious about this, the East Emperor's sacred land is too. The most anxious are the first reincarnation eras. They're at the end of their lifespans. If Luo Feng takes the inheritance, it's equivalent to destroying their first reincarnation era's chance of transcending. They'll make a move. What's more, from what I see, it'll be very hard to break through that palace. The large powers all communicated and pondered. Duandong he however gazed coldly at them and continued, the human Milky Way already has my secret technique protecting it. Even if you attack, you won't be able to break it and hurt him. Hence, it's best not to send yourself to death. There's still a long time to study the Shi Emperor game, work hard. The more you solve, the higher your chances of getting the inheritance. Whoever can solve 6,000 games will immediately receive my Duandong he's inheritance. Duandong he gazed below. Everyone was calm, because regarding the 6,000 games, Duandong he would mention it when every batch of candidates entered. At the start, the newcomers were still very excited. However, once they truly studied it, they would realize to solve 6,000 games, that was incredibly difficult and unbelievable. It was simply a dream. 6,000 rounds? How hard is that? I've only comprehended the 1,005th round. The second true lord sighed. Old 7 is stuck at the 1,000th round. Every 1,000 rounds was a leap in profundity. The 1,001st to 2,000th rounds were probably even more profound. I don't even know what the bottom line is. I've comprehended 1,005 rounds, which is already the highest in my holy-eyed clan, but I still haven't reached the bottom line of Duandong River. However that Luo Feng has reached the requirements, don't tell me he's comprehended even more than me. Or could it be that the requirements for the Master of the Universe and the strongest expert in the universe are different? Second Lord True Guest. Duandong he looked at Luo Feng saying, Human Milky Way, your current solution has merely reached my bottom line, continue working hard. The more puzzles solved, the better. Yes, Lord Duandong he. Luo Feng bowed. Duandong he nodded. Hua. Then, it disappeared. The entire life and death corridor was in an uproar. Everyone was discussing it. Luo Feng scanned his surroundings. With a glance he saw many warriors looking at him with hatred, killing intent etc. He couldn't help but smile. Want to kill me? Come at me, I definitely won't retaliate. Just like before, no matter how you attack, I won't retaliate. Damn. Arrogant. Trash. Many powers gritted their teeth, however there was nothing they could do. They dared to attack before, but now? Duandong he had clearly said that the moment they attacked, they would be eliminated. And Duandong he even said confidently that the light protection, the warriors here had no way to break it. Ha ha! Luo Feng laughed. His gaze swept past the universe lords that had attacked him before. The provocation in his eyes was obvious. This made the universe lords even more furious. However, they understood that Luo Feng did it on purpose. If they attacked, they would fall into his trap. Wantonly attacking me before, now they're afraid. Luo Feng shook his head. Under the gazes of the close to 100,000 beings from the 3 reincarnation eras and 2 sacred lands, he exclaimed, "What a joke! My time is precious. I can't be bothered to waste it on you all. I'll continue my study. This inheritance is something I have to get." After which, Luo Feng sat crossed-legged and studied. A blurry golden palace enveloped Luo Feng, almost like a huge canopy. The warriors from the various races, especially from the first reincarnation era and the 2 sacred lands, all approached the palace and carefully sensed it. They all felt an energy that made them tremble. Without a doubt, this protection was extremely terrifying. These universe lords had already lost their confidence before even attacking. They were anxious and furious within, yet they couldn't do anything about it. This made them hate Luo Feng even more. Stealing my race's chance to transcend the reincarnation, damn it. Damn it. They all stared fiercely at Luo Feng. Luo Feng glanced around and grinned, closing his eyes as he couldn't be bothered to look. He had long become the target of everyone's attention. Ever since Duandong he had shown respect for him. The other powers had surrounded and attacked him. Since they had already fallen out, there was no need to care anymore. In front of a true opportunity, one had to move forward bravely and not retreat. There was no need to care much. This inheritance, I, Luo Feng, will definitely get it. You all are angry? You all threaten? So be it. What's there to be afraid of? I'll instead use all my strength and speed to study the She-Emperor game. I have to get this inheritance. Virtual universe, mist shrouded the area. Stone pillars held up a 3D image. Luo Feng stood before the 1001st 3D image and pondered. Not too far away, the white-robed man was watching the 2001st game. Luo Feng. Luo Feng, ha! You didn't even tell us about such a joyous occasion. Not too far away, a few silhouettes appeared. It was the creator of the huge axe, the primal Chaos City leader and the other human warriors, along with the Darkness Emperor, Ice Peak leader, Yuho leader, Dragon leader, etc. All of them were filled with joy. Luo Feng stood up to welcome them. We've just found out. The creator of the huge axe laughed loudly, his voice clear. You actually reached Duandong He's requirement. You're the first to do so. As the saying goes, the faster, the longer you take, the greater your advantage. This inheritance, you have the highest chance of getting it. Don't worry about anything else now. Don't worry about the threats from the other powers. At most, our human race will remain in the primal universe. Haha, as long as we have this inheritance, our human race will have a high chance of surpassing the 2 sacred lands. I've never heard of the 2 sacred lands placing so much importance on a single inheritance. Right. Primal Chaos nodded. Don't worry about anything else, just focus on getting the inheritance. Yes, teacher. Luo Feng nodded and smiled. Even if they want to disturb me now, they can't do anything about it. Good, we won't disturb you any longer. Continue to comprehend. Giant Axe said directly. We're only here to congratulate you. The Darkness Emperor had a rare smile on his face. This is humanity's greatest opportunity. This opportunity is hard to come by even in the hundreds and thousands of reincarnations. Missing it would be the greatest sin. It's up to you. Yuho leader shouted. The Ice Peak leader encouraged him from the side. The group of warriors chatted with Luo Feng, however, including Luo Feng. They didn't notice the white-robed man standing not too far away. The human race can only rely on themselves to fight for everything, and I can only watch from the side. The white-robed man shook his head and sighed. Over the countless years, he had watched the human race meet with danger, yet there was nothing he could do, because he was eternally suppressed, unable to leave. Because of this, even though the ancestor often went everywhere, Even during the human race meetings and Great Alliance meetings, no one knew he was there. Virtual universe. He was the master of the virtual universe. Within the virtual universe, there was nothing he couldn't do. Luo Feng, work hard. The white-robed man said softly. No matter how powerful he was, that battle with the primal universe source energy had given him many insights. Eternally suppressed, he had grown even stronger. The current him had 100% confidence in even entering the reincarnation cycle. However, it was too late. Eternally suppressed, he couldn't do anything. Primal universe, I won't willingly lower my head. I won't. Even if there's only a sliver of chance, I'll fight to the end. The white-robed man's eyes gleamed with a terrifying gleam, after which he turned to look at the Rhino Emperor game and studied it. Time passed. The tomb boat's life and death corridor was very peaceful. The various powers gathered here, studying the Rhino Emperor game. Ever since Luo Feng met the requirements of the Duandong River, he naturally felt much more relaxed. He too decided to change his study method. In the past 500 years, he had been immersed in studying. However, the more he studied the Rhino Emperor game, the more he realized the similarities between it and the technique. Luo Feng had been working hard before, hence he didn't dare to try. However, now, he decided to spend 80% of his time studying the Rhino Emperor game and 20% of his time studying the techniques within the Ninth Abyss. Techniques, Rhino Emperor game, he compared them. One had to know from the Ninth Abyss to the black patterned pillar space. He spent a few hundred years. From the black patterned pillar space to the ice flame region, he spent a few hundred years too. Especially the black patterned pillar space, where time flowed more than 3,000 times faster. Hence, he had been studying the patterns for a very long time. Even his beast god path had been trained to the 7th level and was close to completion. The beast god path Luo Feng had even stopped. He didn't dare continue training, because if he did, he would reach completion. The moment he reached completion, he might even cross over and become the Universe Lord. He had to acquire the white wings. He had to have the identity of a Universe Knight. He had to accept the Duandong River inheritance. The identity of a Universe Knight would be even more beneficial. Hence the origin laws. Luo Feng had stopped training long ago. His technique attainment had long reached the pinnacle of the Universe Lord level. He had created a total of 6 of the strongest techniques, and was close to creating the fusion of the strongest technique. 80% of my time studying the Rhino Emperor game. 20% of my time studying the techniques. Maybe, comparing them, my study speed will be faster. Luo Feng thought, and I have to occasionally take some time to train my willpower. My willpower hasn't broken through to the strongest in the universe yet. If my willpower evolves to the next level, I'll be able to study the techniques even faster. Today is Monday, asking for recommendation votes. Free recommendation votes everyone has, **, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1261. All of the pinnacle warriors of the vast universe were very clear on the importance of the strong inheritances from the ancient civilizations. They silently hoped that their own warriors in the life and death corridor would be able to quickly reach the requirements to solve the Shi Emperor game. Universe Boat, tomb boat of the ice-fire region, within the life and death corridor. This place was now the most important silent battlefield of the Universe Sea. The inheritance of Duandong River would probably decide which power could break free from the reincarnation, deciding which side could become the next Sacred Land universe. Luo Feng only has a temporary advantage. We still have a chance. Right, as long as we reach the minimum requirement to solve the Shi Emperor game within a certain period of time, then we'll have a chance to receive the inheritance. We have to get the chance. Our race's ability to break free from the reincarnation all depends on this. Even if we die, we'll definitely get the chance. Everyone was already going crazy. They didn't dare hope to receive the inheritance in the short term. They were hoping to reach the minimum requirement to solve the She-Emperor game and get the chance to receive the inheritance. As long as there was a chance, then anything was possible. Ding. Dong. Within the silent life and death corridor, that familiar sound resounded again. HM? All of the Undyings, Universe Knights, Universe Lords, the strongest warriors of the universe, including Luo Feng who was enveloped in the Light Palace, all looked up. In mid-air the light condensed into a silhouette. Duandong River. Duandong River has appeared again. The last time Duandong River appeared was when the human Milky Way met the requirement. Now it's the same sound and the same scene. Don't tell me it's me? I'm the fastest to comprehend the She-Emperor game in my race. I've already solved 820 games. Everyone was filled with anticipation. Luo Feng frowned as he watched. He had already met the requirement, there couldn't be a need for it to appear for him right. Candidate East Emperor Sacred Land Jade Blood has already met the requirement. Duandong River gazed below, his gaze landing on the distant silhouette. It was a seemingly handsome man from the Sacred Land camp. His body was wrapped in vines and leaves. At this time he couldn't help but reveal an excited expression. All the warriors present looked over. Luo Feng too observed this unknown warrior called Jade Blood from the Sacred Land. With a glance, he couldn't help but frown. He is a Universe Knight? I'm a Universe Knight. The second person who fulfilled the requirements is also a Universe Knight. Looking from afar, he could roughly determine the other party's strength from his position. East Emperor Sacred Land's Universe Lord was at the front, the Universe Knights were slightly behind, and the Undyings were protected at the back. And judging from his god power, Jade Blood's god power wasn't that strong, it was only 1,000 times the genetic level of a Universe Knight. With such godly power, he was definitely a universe venerable. A universe supreme? After the human Milky Way, the second person to meet the requirements is actually a universe venerable? There are 7 of the strongest people in the universe, and nearly 200 universe lords present. It's one thing for the Milky Way overlord to succeed. After all, he's an absolute genius universe lord. But a universe supremacy actually succeeded. How could this be? An uproar broke out. Hua, Duandong, he pointed from afar, and immediately the crystal pillar beside the Blood Jade Knight let out a blurry silhouette, almost like a blurry palace enveloping the Blood Jade Knight. The entire palace was golden, similar to Luo Feng's, protecting the Blood Jade Knight. Continue studying. Duandong, he smiled. The more you study, the more benefits you'll get. Focus on studying with my technique's protection, no one will be able to hurt you. The rules have long been set. Duandong, he gazed at all the warriors present. Those who meet the requirements will receive my protection, whoever dares to attack will be eliminated. Jade Blood, continue working hard. Duandong, he encouraged. Yes, Lord Duandong, he. That Blood Jade Knight replied respectfully. Hua, Duandong, he immediately dispersed. We actually let a Universe Knight take the lead. The God-eyed race's second true lord was infuriated. Don't tell me he solved it faster than me. A Universe Knight is in the lead. All sorts of angry voices could be heard. And the warriors of the East Emperor's Sacred Land were all excited, encouraging him. That Blood Jade Knight too nodded excitedly, even glancing at Luo Feng from afar, obviously wanting to compete with him. Luo Feng glanced and thought, I'm the first to meet the requirements, so I have the advantage. And choosing a successor would definitely look at many aspects. That Duandong, he seems to want to choose many candidates. I have to solve more puzzles. The more puzzles I solve, according to Duandong he, the higher my chances of receiving the inheritance. It was a heavy pressure, humanity's hopes were all on him, and he already had such a huge advantage, naturally he couldn't relax. Universe C, East Emperor's Sacred Land Universe. Jade Blood? Jade blood has actually reached the requirements. Our East Emperor's sacred land has sent out a large number of universe lords, knights and undyings. In terms of comprehension, the fastest should be Yuzan. Yuzan has already solved his 1200th puzzle, yet he still hasn't reached Duandong-he's requirements. Jade blood has just finished his 1000th puzzle and is deemed to have reached the requirements? Within a palace gathered hundreds of universe lords and the strongest warriors of the universe. A hazy figure glowing with green light appeared in the air of the hall. Ancestor! Ancestor! All the warriors in the palace bowed respectfully. The blurry green silhouette gazed below and said slowly, "From the looks of it, Duandong-he's inheritance has different requirements for different strength levels. Let our race's undying and universe paragons work harder. The more people who meet the requirements, the higher the chances of our East Emperor's sacred ground obtaining the inheritance of Duandong River." Yes. Yes. All of them acknowledged. The green silhouette immediately dispersed. The group of warriors who had lived for who knew how long all glanced at each other, shocked within. The East Emperor ancestor had only appeared once in a very long time. However, the first time he had publicly sent a large number of warriors to fight for the inheritance was fine. Now he had even appeared directly in their palace. From this, one could see how much importance he placed on this inheritance. Even though Jade Blood Knight is just a knight, he's a quasi-universe lord. His willpower is even at the strongest level in the universe. His puzzles and comprehension are extremely fast. If we had known earlier, we would have sent more quasi-universe lords over. Right. If we had known earlier, we would have indeed sent more quasi-universe lords. Quasi-universe lords referred to some special universe venerables. For example, the East Emperor's sacred land universe had existed for a very long time. Even if a reincarnation era gave birth to 10 universe lords, there would probably be over 10,000 universe lords. However, the truth was that there were only a few hundred universe lords. Why was that? Because of the sacred land universe's endurance. Just like a piece of land, it could only grow a certain amount of plant. If there were too many plants, the land would not be able to bear it. And a small universe could not give birth to the strongest of the universe. At most, it could give birth to a universe lord. And the number of universe lords a small universe could bear was limited. Each universe lord was a huge burden to the small universe. Once it reached a certain limit, it could not increase anymore, or else it would cause harm to the sacred land universe itself. Hence, some of them had already reached perfection in the laws and could enter the ranks of universe lords at any time. However, they could not obtain any god power from the sacred land universe's origin source, and could not improve at all. They were forced to be stuck in the ranks of universe lords. These quasi-universe lords, the moment other universe lords from their race perished, it would lessen the pressure on the sacred land universe. With a few more slots, they would be picked to swiftly become universe lords. They too had lived for a long time. Some had lived over 100 reincarnation eras, or even longer. Their willpower was naturally very strong. Luo Feng's 800th year of studying the Shi Emperor game. Ding. Dong. Like a drop of water falling into a deep pool, Duandong he appeared once again. Immediately everyone was anticipating. Second reincarnation era Bug Clan Shuiyu has reached the requirements. Duandong he gazed below, his gaze landing on a Bug Clan candidate. What? Undying? Just one undying. Even an undying has reached the requirements? Everyone was shocked. After the primal universe human Een He and the East Emperor's sacred land Jade Blood, the third was actually an undying from the second reincarnation era Bug Clan. Rise. Duandong he pointed at Shuiyu. Immediately the crystal pillar emitted a blurry silhouette and the palace enveloped Shuiyu. That palace was also golden in color. As time passed, one after another, the candidates reached the requirements, and the various powers quickly understood different levels of strength had different requirements. Just like the 7 strongest who comprehended extremely quickly, none of them reached the requirements. From this, one could see the mysteries behind it. The first was Luo Feng. The second was a universe knight. The third was an undying. The fourth was an undying. The fifth was a universe lord. The East Emperor's Sacred Land was especially pleased. Since then, the East Emperor's Sacred Land already had 2 who reached the requirement. This was already the 1100th year of Luo Feng's inheritance. The 6th was a universe knight. The 7th was a universe lord. It was someone Luo Feng was familiar with. Dear Bug Leader. This level 6 universe lord had finally reached the requirement. This was already the 1200th year of Luo Feng's inheritance. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, close to 3,000 years had passed. Within the life and death corridor, many golden silhouettes enveloped the candidate. At this time, there were already a total of 62 candidates who had reached the requirement. Actually, since the 2000th year, the candidates who had reached the requirements had entered a huge era. Like Worker Peng, who had already reached the requirement. On the contrary, the 7 strongest of the universe didn't even succeed. Ding. Dong. Duandong River appeared once again. At this time, it was very normal for it to appear. Everyone just looked up to see which side had reached the requirement. First reincarnation era demon Lord Luobu has reached the requirement. Duandong River said. The 7 strongest of the universe in the life and death corridor all trembled. My God! Finally, the strongest of the universe has reached the requirements. Nearly 100,000 experts turned to look at him. How bitter! It was too pitiful. Finally, one succeeded. The 7 strongest of the universe were all excited and sad. Close to 3,000 years. All of them who were weaker than them had reached the requirement. However, the 7 of them had risked their lives and none of them had reached the requirement. This made them think that there was no hope for the strongest of the universe. Finally, Luobu of the 7 finally succeeded. He was ranked 63. The minimum requirement to become the strongest of the universe is actually solving 2,000 puzzles. Luobu felt extremely conflicted. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1262. 64th place. 65th place. The other candidates in the life and death corridor may have been slower in comprehending the Emperor Rhino game, however, as time went on, the number of people who reached the requirements was increasing at a shocking rate. The many golden palaces within the life and death corridor were scattered everywhere, there were already a lot of them. The time given to solve the Emperor Rhino game is actually so long. From this, it looks like the Duandong River still needs more candidates. There are already close to 70 of them. Right, the inheritors can't just consider their comprehension, they have to consider other aspects too. Hence Luo Feng, who has an advantage in this aspect, isn't a problem. Our East Emperor's Sacred Land already has 9 who have reached the requirements. As time goes on, our East Emperor's Sacred Land's advantage will be even greater. The candidates in the life and death corridor would occasionally discuss amongst themselves. After all, studying the Emperor Rhino game was extremely difficult, it was almost like being attacked by the soul. Hence, according to one's willpower, they would usually pause after a long or short period of time. Within the virtual universe, there are already 69 candidates who have reached the requirement. The Primal Chaos City leader had a rare sense of anxiety. And as time goes on, I believe there will be more candidates. According to this development, Luo Feng's advantage will get smaller and smaller. What do we do? For our human race to obtain the inheritance, our chances are dropping. The 8 lords of the universe and the creator of the giant axe were gathered together. These 8 lords of the universe were the Lord of Darkness, the Lord of Void Gold, the Lord of Desolate Mirror, the Lord of Green East, and other high-level leaders of the human race. Even though they were either in the Pinnacle World or the Universe boat, not going to the Tomb boat, they were still worried about it. Everyone knew the inheritance this time was a silent war. This war would decide who could break free from the reincarnation and which side the third sacred land universe would be on. Don't be anxious. The huge axe creator laughed loudly. There's no point in us being anxious about this. Let Luo Feng focus on his study. As for us, let's take the risk and split our thoughts. Don't tell me we'll just keep watching their inheritances for 10,000 years, or even longer. But, alright, all of you return. The huge axe creator waved his hand. In the independent plane, fog lingered, and there were many three-dimensional shadows on the stone pillars. Luo Feng and the white-robed ancestor were both here. Of course, Luo Feng himself didn't even know that the ancestor was here. This 2000th round is really tough. Luo Feng stood in front of the 3D image of the 2000th round. It had been 3,000 years. During this long period of time, the other candidates had all reached the requirements, causing him to feel the pressure. He was starting to understand Duan Dong's thoughts. Obviously, Duan Dong he didn't want to place all his bets on him for now. This time's legacy. Since I've long taken the lead, I have to expand my advantage and get this inheritance. Luo Feng's determination was huge. And ever since I've been studying the techniques Emperor Shi's game, imprinting each other, my study speed has obviously increased by a lot. Luo Feng thought. Ever since he solved the 1000th Go puzzle. Then, he began to research new method. He would spend 80% of his time studying Emperor Shi's game, 20% studying the secret arts of the Ninth Abyss, and occasionally training his will. It was true. Just like what he felt before, this technique and Emperor Shi's game did indeed have similarities, allowing Luo Feng to comprehend and improve after imprinting each other. The first 1,000 rounds took 500 years. According to normal speed, to solve the 2000th round, it should have taken 10 times that amount of time, or even longer. However, after spending 500 years and 5 times that amount of time, he was about to solve the 2000th round. Looks like this Luo Feng. The white-robed man not far away glanced over and nodded. He should be solving the 2000th round soon. If he can solve it, with his comprehension and foundation, creating the strongest fusion technique shouldn't be a hard thing. Powerful. The white-robed man complimented within. Maybe the many candidates in the life and death corridor weren't too clear. However, after studying Emperor Shi's game for 3,000 years, with 10,000 times acceleration, that would be 30 million years. He knew much more. Emperor Shi's game. It had extremely high requirements for comprehension. It had extremely high requirements for deduction. Anyway, to be able to study Emperor Shi's game deeper, then comprehending the origin laws, studying them, creating techniques etc. wouldn't be hard. Even though it seemed like the candidates were all breaking through and meeting the requirements, as that was only the first bottleneck. The Undying's bottleneck. The 500th round. The Universe Knight's bottleneck. The 1000th round. The Universe Lord's bottleneck. The 1500th round. The Universe Strongest's bottleneck. The 2000th round. As long as one's talent is high, spending enough time to break through the first bottleneck isn't hard. Just like the Universe Strongest, all of them can walk their own unique path and open up a small universe. Their comprehension is extremely high. As long as they have enough time, all of them can solve the 2000th round. The white-robed man was very clear on this. However, this is just the first bottleneck. The second bottleneck will require 10 times or even 10 times more time. Even after that, no matter how much time they spend, they won't be able to break through. For example, a Universe Lord studying the 1998 round. He was unable to solve it. Even after 10,000 years, 100,000 years, 1 million years, even a reincarnation era, he still wouldn't be able to solve it, because that was his limit, unless his foundation and comprehension had some fundamental changes. This Luo Feng easily broke through the first bottleneck and is now at the second. The white-robed man nodded. And his speed is so fast, obviously this is far from his limit. It's true. He indeed has a high chance of becoming the universe's strongest. If he obtains the Duandong River's inheritance this time, the chances of him transcending the reincarnation are extremely high. The white-robed man couldn't help but smile. These few years, he had been studying the Shi Emperor game here. Hence, he had seen all of Luo Feng's movements. He also knew which silhouette Luo Feng frequently studied. Hence he was very clear of Luo Feng's improvement speed. Luo Feng had already received the inheritance for over 3,000 years. The life and death corridor was silent. Many golden silhouettes were scattered everywhere, and there was an even larger sea of candidates surrounding these silhouettes. These golden silhouettes represented those who had reached the requirement. Ding! Dong! A familiar sound resounded, resounding within every warrior's heart. All the warriors looked up. It should be the 70th. I wonder who the 70th is. It should be our primal universe. It can't always be the first reincarnation era and the two sacred lands. It's time for our second reincarnation era. They all thought within. Obviously the two sacred lands and the first reincarnation era were the majority of the candidates who had reached the requirement. The second reincarnation era and the primal universe were at a disadvantage, much less. I'm very happy. Duandong He's voice resounded. All the powerhouses were shocked. Even a few who were distracted with studying the Emperor Rhino's game temporarily stopped and looked up. Happy? Duandong He was happy? He had never seen such a thing before. Duandong He smiled in mid-air, gazing below. The blur of close to 100,000 warriors from every race were waiting. Duandong He smiled. The human Milky Way has broken through the second bottleneck, reaching a new level. What? An uproar. They all turned to look at the Milky Way leader Luo Feng that had been forgotten all these years. Rise. Duandong He pointed. Immediately, a crystal pillar rose up from the ground beside Luo Feng. When it completely rose up, its surface began to emit a glaring red light. The misty red light merged with the golden palace from before, causing the entire palace to be dyed in two colors, gold and red. The golden red palace enveloped Luo Feng. Luo Feng himself was shocked. Those who reached the requirements would actually be treated differently? Right, he had just solved the 2000th game, however, Luo Feng was shocked. The other powers were even more shocked. It was hard to understand. They had thought that after reaching the requirements, it would be the same. However, from the looks of it, it was completely different. I've said it before. Duandong He looked at the shocked expressions of the candidates below. The more you solve the Shi Emperor game, the greater the benefits, and the greater the benefits during the inheritance. You've all broken through your first bottleneck. That means you've reached my bottom line, of course. This is only the bottom line. If you can't even reach it, naturally you have no right to advance. And breaking through the second bottleneck, just like the human Milky Way. Duandong He said, hence even the candidates can be split into 4 levels. I'll randomly choose 4 names. The outer circle candidates, elite candidates, core candidates and inheritors. Those who reach the requirements before can only be considered the outer circle. Like the human Milky Way, they're considered the elite. The next level, the core. The next level is directly the inheritor. There's no need to compete, they'll receive my inheritance immediately. Duandong He's gaze looked at the 7 strongest warriors of the universe. The 7 of you have all nurtured your own small universe. The stronger you are, the higher your bottleneck will be. To you, as long as you can solve the 6000th game, you'll receive the inheritance. Of course, I estimate that those of you who want to break through the 4th bottleneck and become an inheritor within my time limit. or directly solve the 6,000th game has a very, very low chance. Hence you have to work even harder. The more you solve, the higher the level, the higher the chances of receiving the inheritance will be. For example, right now, the human Milky Way's chances of receiving the inheritance are 10 to 100 times higher than yours, unless you too break through the second bottleneck. Work hard. Silence reigned. All the warriors present understood, so it was like this. The number of games solved really did have a huge difference. Even when solving to a certain level, one could directly receive the inheritance. The other warriors were considered to have failed the elimination. First bottleneck, second bottleneck, third bottleneck, fourth bottleneck. If one couldn't even break through the first bottleneck, then he would be eliminated, and eliminated meant being killed. This made the others anxious, especially after knowing that Luo Feng had broken through the second bottleneck. They were even more anxious. Second bottleneck? Luo Feng swiftly suppressed his excitement and thought calmly. The first bottleneck is at the 1,000th game, the second is at the 2,000th game, don't tell me the third is at the 3,000th game? Which means, breaking through the 4,000th game will make me an inheritor. Asterisk to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1263. Primal Universe Human Yen Chun reached the requirements. East Emperor Sacred Land Ziwei Kai reached the requirement. Duan Dong he stood at the front of the pathway. He actually stayed there for a long time without dispersing. Because the number of those that reached the first bottleneck had already entered an explosive growth stage, in the blink of an eye, it broke past 100, and the numbers continued to rise. As for the first bottleneck, Luo Feng didn't care about them at all, focusing on his own methods to study the Emperor Shi game. Time passed. On the 3,900th year since Luo Feng received the inheritance, the first bottleneck broke through at the fastest rate, after which it gradually slowed down. From the 5,200th year onwards, there was actually no one that broke through the first bottleneck. This is your limit? Duan Dong he shook his head indifferently. 298 that broke through the first bottleneck? Luo Feng, who was within the palace, opened his eyes, nodding within. The Emperor Shi game didn't mean that the more time spent, the more breakthroughs one could solve. Many of the Undyings present had limited potential, some even Universe Lords would never be able to break through. Breaking through the first bottleneck was extremely difficult. At this time, of the 298 that had reached the first bottleneck, 7 of them had all reached it. All of the Universe Lords had reached it. A small number of Undyings and a portion of the Knights had reached the requirements. Of course, only Luo Feng alone had reached the second bottleneck. Duan Dong he's gaze turned. East Emperor Sacred Land Blood Jade. Duan Dong he looked over, smiling and nodding. You've already broken through the second bottleneck. Looks like the ones with the highest chance of receiving my inheritance are you and that humanine he. You have to work hard, don't slack off. Yes, Lord Duan Dong he. Blood Jade bowed. Simultaneously, a crystal pillar began to rise from the ground beside him. It glowed and formed a red palace and a gold palace. The gold and red light shrouded the area. Compared to Luo Feng's gold and red palace in the distance, it shone brightly. Luo Feng frowned. Blood Jade. Luo Feng muttered. Blood Jade. Luo Feng muttered. Blood Jade, our East Emperor Sacred Land is counting on you. The Universe Lords of the East Emperor Sacred Land were all excited, as long as it was their side. No matter who received the inheritance, it meant the entire Sacred Land received the inheritance. Venerable Blood Jade also smiled faintly at the crowd. The inheritance this time was a great opportunity to change his destiny. Before this, he could only be considered ordinary in the East Tharch Sacred Land, which was filled with experts. He was one of the quasi-masters of the universe. This was because the East Tharch Sacred Land's universe had a limit to its capacity. With so many masters of the universe around, A group of quasi-masters of the universe like them could not break through at all. They could not obtain the resources of the sacred land's universe to break through. Advancing from a paragon to a lord of the universe required an astonishing amount of divine power. Without the supply of source energy, it was impossible. He, the blood jade venerable, from such an awkward status as a quasi-master of the universe, he suddenly became the most dazzling figure in the entire East Tharch sacred ground. His status even surpassed that of any master of the universe and the strongest expert in the universe. Even the founder of the East Tharch sacred ground met him personally and even told him, "Solving the Emperor Shi's game also proves your potential. Even if you don't obtain the inheritance this time, you will receive the best grooming from our sacred ground in the future. You don't have to feel pressured. Just do your best. If you perform well this time, its potential is limitless. No matter the price, I'll make you the strongest person in the universe. I'll even let you transcend samsara." The East deity progenitor's promise had long since ignited Venerable Blood Jade's desire. He was excited. The passion that had been dormant for who knows how long, once again ignited. He felt as though he had returned to his youth when he was constantly fighting for his life, filled with fighting spirit. Become the strongest in the universe? Isn't it only the primal universe that can nurture the strongest in the universe? Does the progenitor have a way? That's right. The reason why Duandong he left behind this lineage of inheritance was naturally because he wanted the later generations to continuously cultivate and improve. If they couldn't even become the strongest in the universe, it would be too ridiculous. If the ancient civilization had such methods, the primogenitor might have been able to do it even if he paid a huge price. Blood Jade Venerable understood. This was his greatest opportunity. An opportunity to make a comeback. Even if he failed, as long as he proved that his potential was extremely high, then the East deity progenitor would reverse time and space to revive him and groom him. Success. Then what about Luofeng? I've been dormant for countless years, not even having the right to enter the cosmic sea. I've been mediocre, waiting for this opportunity. A true opportunity to make a comeback. I'll grab it with all my might. Blood Jade Venerable seemed indifferent on the surface, but his heart was in a frenzied state. This opportunity, he grabbed it with all his might like a drowning man, igniting his passion, igniting his life force. All his intelligence and potential exploded at this moment. Within the black patterned pillar space, the majestic black patterned stone pillar pierced into the depths of the endless clouds at the highest point. The entire black patterned stone pillar emitted a boundless crushing will, as if hundreds of millions of blood-stained black-armored soldiers were charging over, roaring. This was where Luofeng trained his willpower. The Masha clansmen had always been here, and there were no other warriors around. After all, there were 16 black-patterned pillars in the space. Almost all the warriors were around the second black-patterned pillar, listening to Beiqi's explanations. Hence Luofeng's place was rather deserted. A stone even left the huge boulder and floated in mid-air, slowly flying towards the black-patterned pillar, flying extremely slowly. Kill! 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 Endless roars. The willpower attacks were like tidal waves, each wave stronger than the last, madly crushing Luofeng's willpower. Normally when studying the Emperor Shi game or techniques, the Masha clansmen would fly to a slightly further boulder, even retreating to the edge of the boulder, causing the willpower attacks to be minimal, not affecting his training. And when training his willpower, he would try his best to get close to his limit. Training his willpower at his limit, there was no way to train at all. Howl, the boulder began to change shape, becoming a naked man. His skin had complicated space engravings. If the Masha clan's clone was killed under special circumstances, it would revert to its true form. At this moment, there would be spatial runes on its skin. The true form was the easiest form for the Masha clan's clone. Under the extreme pressure, it had reached a critical point. The Masha clansman couldn't help but revert to his original form. Just a little more. Just a little more. Luo Feng's willpower roared. Roaring. He had a feeling he was about to break through his limit. Just a little more. He was unprecedentedly close to breaking through. Break through! Luo Feng's willpower roared. Rumble! Just like a bolt of lightning, almost like the endless chaos world had instantly transformed into the universe, trillions of stars, countless life forms at this moment. Luo Feng's willpower was cheering and jumping. It was like a fish in the ocean, a bird flying in the sky. It was also like a dragon trapped in the shallows, finally struggling out of the shallows, flying above the 9 heavens and roaming freely. An incomparably strong willpower emanated from the naked Masha clansman. Ha ha ha! The Masha clansman swiftly formed a black robe on his body, laughing happily. Advance! So, the Masha clansman swiftly advanced, rushing towards the black engraved stone pillar, constantly challenging his new limit. As he got closer, the time flow continued to explode, faster and faster. 12,000 times? When Luo Feng felt the time flow reach 12,000 times, he felt it was extremely taxing. It was almost his limit. I heard the strongest willpower training planet leader Bei Qi has a time flow of 130,000 times. There's really always someone stronger, there's always someone stronger. Luo Feng smiled. After which he flew back, flying until he reached a place where the time flow was 6,000 times faster before stopping. The willpower pressure here, to Luo Feng, it was like a gentle breeze. It only made him feel comfortable. It didn't affect his training at all. My willpower has evolved. A strong willpower controlling consciousness, deducing and thinking speed will greatly increase. My research on the Emperor Shi game will definitely be faster. Luo Feng was secretly delighted. Willpower as commander. Consciousness as commander of many generals. God energy as soldier. The transformation of willpower, whether it was training or battle, it had great benefit. At least to the current Luo Feng. 1. After his willpower breakthrough from the Duan-Dong River inheritance, he had more confidence. His chances of obtaining the inheritance were higher. 2. His willpower had finally broken through to the strongest in the universe. That heaven-defying white feather had a chance to recognize him as its owner. Haha, willpower breakthrough, it's like a dragon rising to the skies. Luo Feng was extremely happy within. Since he had already broken through, Luo Feng spent all his energy on the Emperor Shi game and techniques, temporarily stopping his willpower training. Awesome. He could obviously feel that while studying the Emperor Shi game, he could instantly analyze and comprehend from many different angles. Many inspirations surged within him. His efficiency had obviously risen greatly, and the further he went, the more he felt the connection between the strongest techniques of the Ninth Abyss and the Emperor Shi game. Reflecting on each other, his research speed soared. Virtual universe. HM? The white-robed man was shocked as he turned to look at the not-too-distant Luo Feng. How long has he been studying the Emperor Shi game? He spent 3,000 years to solve the 2,000th game. It hasn't even been 11,000 years, and he's actually starting to solve the 3,000th game. The ancestor was shocked. Because every 1,000 games was a new threshold, the difficulty would rise exponentially. The first 2,000 games took 3,000 years. The ancestor estimated that Luo Feng being able to solve the 3,000th game within 30,000 years was already not bad. His potential was limitless. He didn't expect 3,000th game. Luo Feng stood before the 3D image, quietly watching. The ocean clone in the huge Axe universe was fully focused on studying and solving. In an instant, his entire being entered an absolute peak state of comprehension. Trillions of thoughts flashed through his mind, many inspirations clashed, many difficult problems were solved one by one. Even the gains from studying the strongest techniques of the Ninth Abyss could be used as a reference. Actually, Luo Feng himself felt that if he were to create his own techniques, with his current level of skill in the engraving system, it wouldn't be hard for him to create the strongest technique. It was just that he didn't have the time to spend on them. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed, a smile appearing on his face. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1264. The moment there were over 10,000 people, it was like a sea of people. And within the life and death pathway gathered close to 100,000 warriors of the Universe Sea. With a glance, it was indeed densely packed, and they were all discussing, after the human Milky Way leader and Jade Blood leader, the one to break through the second bottleneck is actually the Water Song leader. This is too. An unremarkable universe lord from the second reincarnation era actually managed to catch up. Shui Song, his potential is extraordinary. The first reincarnation era and the two sacred lands will definitely be mad. Especially the first reincarnation era, it would be strange if they didn't go mad. The top three are the Primal Universe, the East Emperor's Sacred Land Universe, and the Second Reincarnation Era. They have the most number of candidates from the First Reincarnation Era, yet none of the top three. The various races were all exclaiming, "Done." Luo Feng smiled as he stood before the crystal pillar. He had just perfectly solved the 3000th game within the pillar. The moment he succeeded, Luo Feng looked up into the distance. Duandong River should have appeared by now. Hua hua hua, countless green lights condensed in mid-air. The surrounding temperature plummeted, and it even caused one's soul to feel like it was about to freeze, causing all the warriors to shiver and look up. All they could see were countless green lights in mid-air, almost like snowflakes. What's going on? Something big is going to happen. The countless green lights that were like snowflakes suddenly madly rushed towards Luo Feng. Rumble! The ground behind Luo Feng suddenly split open and another crystal pillar appeared. In an instant, Luo Feng was surrounded by three large pillars. Countless green lights swiftly condensed and formed a palace above Luo Feng's head. Gold, red and green, the three-colored palaces were incredibly dazzling. At this time, Luo Feng was like the emperor of the close to 100,000 warriors of the Universe Sea. What? No! The seventh true lord of the Holy-Eyed clan roared furiously. His eyes were filled with fear. The chance to transcend reincarnation belongs to the Holy-Eyed clan. It belongs to the Holy-Eyed clan. This. A huge beast from the first reincarnation cried out in pain, howling, "You want to wipe out my Yen Beast clan? You want to deprive me of my last chance? I can't accept it, I can't accept it." Despair. Almost all the experts from the first round of reincarnation were in despair. They were the majority of the candidates, and they were also the ones who were most eager to obtain the inheritance. If they lost the opportunity to obtain the inheritance, they would really die. They were unwilling to die, unwilling to see their entire race disappear in the cycle of reincarnation. They struggled. They fought with everything they had. For this, they were willing to do anything. Even if they humiliated Luo Feng at the beginning and attacked him wantonly to affect him. But fate had played a big joke on them. They all understood the scene before them. Luo Feng had already broken through the third bottleneck. One had to know that there were 4 bottlenecks in total. If one could break through the 4th bottleneck, one would directly obtain the inheritance, and there would not even be a need to compete for it. On the other hand, the 3rd inheritance represented the identity of a core candidate. Compared to him, the possibility of those outer candidates who had only broken through the 1st bottleneck was almost negligible. He, a white silhouette condensed in midair, turning into a dazzling Duandongha, who was wearing a gorgeous white armor. At this moment, Duandongha didn't have that cold and lonely feeling. Instead, it was very dazzling. A great era has passed. Duandongha closed his eyes, tears already flowing down. Silence reigned. All the warriors present looked up at Duan Dongha. A great era has passed. Duan Dongha sighed softly. Even with the small universe-time acceleration, the limit is only 10,000 times. You've actually broken through the third bottleneck. I didn't expect that on this path of no return, when I was forced to walk this path, I would still be able to find a younger generation like you. What? The expressions of the other races changed greatly. Was Duan Dongha going to directly give Luo Feng the inheritance? This was definitely not possible. I've let down my ancestors. Duan Dongha closed his eyes, his entire body trembling, his expression filled with pain, after which he slowly opened his eyes and looked at Luo Feng. I've let them down, it was me that caused Duan Dongha to fall into a state of destruction. My Duan Dongha was incomparably noble, incomparably strong, with countless generations of glory, standing at the most dazzling peak. However, I caused my entire bloodline to fall into a state of destruction. I'm a sinner. But I had no choice. Duan Dongha looked at Luo Feng. Your talent and comprehension isn't any lower than mine. No matter what, at least the inheritors I can find this time won't be weaker than me. In just one era, you've already broken through the third bottleneck. Congratulations, Yin He. Duan Dongha looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng held his breath. If you can directly break through the fourth bottleneck, Duan Dongha's gaze swept, eliminate and kill them one by one to congratulate you on receiving the inheritance. The close to 100,000 warriors present were all shocked. Kill them all? Didn't he say before that he could continue if he reached the requirements? However, from the looks of it, Duan Dongha obviously wasn't a good person. The moment he found an inheritor, all the other candidates would be useless. 3 eras. Duan Dongha looked at Luo Feng. This Shao Emperor game will take a total of 3 eras. Within these 3 eras, if you can break through the fourth bottleneck, even if I die, I won't have to disappoint my ancestors. Remember, within these 3 eras, Duan Dongha said, and his figure vanished. The entire walkway was silent. Countless warriors looked at Luo Feng with gazes of jealousy and madness, worship and shock, venomous hatred. 3 eras? Luo Feng closed his eyes and continued to study the Shao Emperor game with all his might. Years passed. Every few thousand years in the walkway, only one warrior would break through the second bottleneck with great difficulty. As for those that broke through the first bottleneck, there were no more. Obviously, the large number of Undyings and Universe Knights that couldn't break through had already reached their limits. No matter how much time they were given, they wouldn't be able to break through. Blood Jade Knight. He was second only to Luo Feng in breaking through the second bottleneck. Water Song Leader. He was ranked third. Deer Bug Leader. His eruption made Purple Moon Sacred Land look forward to it. Shuiyu. The only Undying Yuzan Leader. Another hope of the East Emperor's Sacred Land. Shaman Master. She actually broke through the second bottleneck too. This was definitely a surprise. The God-eyed race didn't expect the Shaman Master to break through before the end of the 3 eras. This was an unexpected surprise. It made the entire God-eyed race so excited they wanted to cry. The Shaman Master, a woman, actually became the greatest hope of the God-eyed race. Time passed. 28,000 years, 28,500 years, 29,000 years. As they neared the end of the 3 eras, everyone was anxious and worried that Luo Feng wouldn't really break through the fourth bottleneck. He definitely can't succeed. He definitely can't. If he succeeds, all hope will be gone. He can't. I'd rather die than let Luo Feng fall. Give our race hope. The last bit of hope. Don't cut off our race's last bit of hope. They all prayed silently. There were even universe lords that went mad and attacked Luo Feng. In the end, with just a slight tremble from the 3-colored palace, they were immediately destroyed and turned to dust. Virtual universe. The white-robed man looked at Luo Feng, truly shocked. Luo Feng's improvement speed was too terrifying. This time when he solved Emperor Shi's situation, he saw Luo Feng's speed getting faster and faster, his comprehension constantly rising, his talent improving at a terrifying speed. Just like a piece of scrap metal swiftly transforming into steel, he couldn't believe a strong warrior's transformation could actually reach such a level, especially at the final stages. Luo Feng was like a phoenix rising from the ashes, continuously solving problems. His comprehension shocked even the ancestor. His training time before was short, and this time he studied for 30,000 years, under 10,000 times time acceleration, that's close to 30,000 eras. Is it because he's been studying for long enough? The ancestor thought. No, in the past, who knows how many warriors have trained for even longer, but they've never been this ridiculous. Don't tell me the Earth race's soul is special? And Luo Feng is Earth's most dazzling. The ancestor thought. The Earth race was a very special race, their mental state and willpower were extremely good, the moment they comprehended, they broke through extremely quickly. Mountain Guest's modification of Earth has caused a portion of our human race to change, producing the Earth race. The ancestor frowned, looking at the primal universe, even looking at the entire universe. See, the only ones I can't see through, other than the two Sacred Lands ancestors who have never appeared in the universe, see, is this Mountain Guest. Mountain Guest. Just what is his plan? Everything about Luo Feng is related to him. He even nurtured the Flaming Emperor and Pu Ti before. The ancestor pondered. He was the creator of the virtual universe. The virtual universe enveloped the entire primal universe. Its mysteries weren't as simple as they seemed on the surface. The ancestor knew many mysteries, however there were still many he didn't understand. Mountain Guest was one he couldn't see through. Luo Feng was completely immersed in the world of Emperor Shi's game and techniques. If one were to say that he was still a novice when he first started studying it, as time passed, his willpower was tempered, his comprehension rose through the research. Due to many reasons, Luo Feng became obsessed with studying the Emperor Shi's game. That feeling of instantly analyzing from trillions of angles, comprehending, breaking, almost like the thrill of the universe's mysteries being broken through one by one. And his own potential, under such training, was like an unpolished jade, slowly beginning to shine. 3,890 games. Luo Feng paused for a moment, feeling the time, frowning. It's almost 3 eras, I don't have enough time. However, so what if I don't have enough time? The Emperor Shi's game is extremely beneficial to me. Even if I truly touch the inheritance, I have confidence in obtaining it. Luo Feng had confidence from the bottom of his heart. Close to 3 eras of training, whether it was his willpower or his undetectable comprehension, they had all reached a terrifying level. East Emperor's Sacred Land Jade Blood, breaking through the third bottleneck. Countless green lights descended, incomparably dazzling. Duandong he personally descended. My inheritor, I'm afraid only you can compete with Yin He. The other candidates, unless they undergo continuous transformations. Duandong he looked at Blood Jade Blood Knight. Work hard, don't give up so easily. Yes. Blood Jade Blood Knight said respectfully. He looked at Luo Feng, his eyes filled with an incomparably terrifying glow that was an absolute madness. He was giving it his all. Giving it his all. The only chance in the endless eras. He grabbed it tightly. He wouldn't relax at all, giving it his all, burning with passion. Before the third era arrived, he finally solved the 3,000th game. Jade Blood. Luo Feng glanced at him. Competing with me? 3 eras had finally ended. Luo Feng had finally solved his 3,911th game. This was already an exceptional performance. After all, he had spent over an era to break through the third bottleneck. To break through the fourth bottleneck within 2 eras was indeed too difficult. 3 eras have arrived, Emperor Shi's game selection has ended. 292 who broke through the first bottleneck. 5 who broke through the second bottleneck. 2 who broke through the third bottleneck. Duan Dong he gazed below and said slowly. We came later than he and the others, we should still have time. Right, give us some more time. The warriors below immediately shouted. Indeed, some of the latecomers were later than Luo Feng by half a year, or even 1 or 2 years. Duan Dong he looked below, saying coldly, even if I give you another era, I'm afraid none of you will be able to break through the first bottleneck. Even if you do, what use do I have for you? This inheritance, he and Jade Blood are the most important. The 5 that broke through the second bottleneck have a slight chance, the rest are just there to make up the numbers. As for you all, you haven't even broken through the first bottleneck. According to the rules, all of you go and die. Duan Dong he waved his hand. Hua! The crystal pillars in the entire corridor of life and death burst forth with golden light. The golden light could form palaces, but it could also attack. Hua! Countless spots of light attacked the experts. In the blink of an eye, nearly 100,000 experts were instantly annihilated and turned into dust. Only the last 300 lucky survivors were left. And even though the survivors were shocked at that power, their eyes were filled with anticipation. Emperor Shi's game. It had finally ended. The next step was to begin touching the inheritance. The legendary Duan Dong he's inheritance. You all continue forward. At the next great hall, you'll be able to touch the inheritance. Duan Dong he gazed at Luo Feng and the other 299 candidates, following which he pointed into the distance, only to hear rumbling sounds in the distance. The originally closed sluice gate had already risen, even Luo Feng could see the hall from where he was. Let's go. Duan Dong he himself became a beam of light, immediately flashing and arriving at the distant hall. Luo Feng, Jade Blood Knight, Deer Bug Lord, Shaman Lord, Water Song Lord, Shuiyu, Yozen Lord, along with the 7 strongest warriors of the universe, along with a large number of other candidates that broke through the first bottleneck, all flew towards the hall. Virtual universe. The illusions of the stone pillars were there. Luo Feng sat cross-legged. He had already stopped his comprehension as he was about to touch the inheritance. He didn't dare be distracted. Third asterisk. The white-robed man stood before a stone pillar, smiling and nodding. At least before the third asterisk. I've solved it. 6002. The white-robed man laughed softly, shaking his head. Emperor Shi's game has ended. Tomato, please give me a recommendation vote, a free recommendation vote, to be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Chidian. Come and vote, your support is my biggest motivation. Chapter 1265. In the pitch-black ancient palace hall, only the 9 crystal balls inlaid on the top of the hall emitted a faint light, illuminating the entire hall. When the vast crowd of 299 experts flew into the hall, Duan Donghe was already seated on the throne in the hall, a smile on his face as he looked down. Since you've already passed through the corridor and arrived here, you can begin to come into contact with the true legacy. Inheritance? Interact with the inheritance. Everyone knew that only one could obtain the complete inheritance, but as long as they could obtain a portion of the inheritance and transmit the information back before dying, it would be worth it. After obtaining a portion of the inheritance, there might be a way to transcend reincarnation. Once I discover the method, I will immediately self-destruct and die. I have a clone so I can continue living, but if I am attacked by this Duan Donghe, I'm afraid I will definitely die. This was especially so for the experts who had broken through the first bottleneck. Of the 299 present, 2 had broken through the third bottleneck, and 5 had broken through the second bottleneck. This time, how could it be their turn to break through the first bottleneck? Being able to obtain some information and immediately escape when the situation was bad was the way to go. Looking at the experts of the various races below, seemingly unable to wait any longer, Duan Donghe, who was seated on the throne, continued, "Don't be anxious. Logically speaking, you all should be able to come into contact with the legacy. Everyone's heart tightened. At the same time, they were cursing this Duan Dongha for being too troublesome, asking at this time? Forget about the other candidates, I want to ask the 7 strongest experts of the cosmos. Duan Dongha looked at the 7 strongest experts below. Of the 7 strongest experts, 6 were from the first reincarnation era, and 1 was from the second reincarnation era. This time, they were at a disadvantage, and their performance in the Emperor Rhino game could be considered miserable. If you answer incorrectly, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to interact with the inheritance. Duan Dongha said. The 7 strongest experts of the cosmos were shocked. How could this be? It's not that I don't want to give you a chance, but because my Duan Dongha lineage has special requirements for your respective cosmos. Duan Dongha sighed. Once a cosmos is born, its form is fixed, and your future path will be limited. If your miniature cosmos structure doesn't meet my requirements, then you won't have the qualifications to accept the inheritance. Ah! Miniature cosmos structure? The 7 strongest experts of the cosmos were astonished. The other universe lords and universe venerables are weak and have yet to nurture a small cosmos. Broken East River. That's why they're fine. Those who obtain the inheritance of my Broken East River will naturally receive pointers and know how the universe should be constructed once it is born. But the 7 of you are already fixed. Now let me ask you, what is the structure of your universe? Duan Dongha asked directly. The strongest experts of the 7 great cosmoses hesitated. All of them wanted to know what Duan Dongha wanted the structure of the universe to look like. Then, they could just fabricate fake information. However, Duan Dongha was not stupid and would not say anything, which made it hard for them to fabricate fake information. At the same time, the other 292 powerhouses secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the unlucky one was the universe's strongest powerhouse. No wonder the 2 Holy Lands didn't even send their strongest experts. It seemed like, although this Broken East River lineage could allow the strongest experts of the universe to become inheritors, the requirements were extremely high, and there were special requirements for the structure of the small universe. And the strongest warriors of the 2 sacred lands don't even have a small universe. What's there to talk about? Luo Feng realized. I see. The inheritance actually has requirements for the small universe. The universe lords, the universe knights and the undyings all had their eyes opened wide. They weren't in any danger from this. Instead, they were all very interested in watching. They wanted to know what the structure of the small universe was about. Duan Dongha frowned. What are you hesitating for? You be the first to speak. Duan Dongha pointed at Lao Bu. Lao Bu hesitated for a moment, after which he gritted his teeth and said, Back when I broke through from the Universe Lord to become the strongest in the universe, I opened up gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, light. 8 great planes, connecting them to the universe origin laws, stabilizing the entire small universe. Normal method. Duan Dongha sneered, shaking his head. Next. His gaze landed on the second true lord. Lao Bu from before had a huge change in expression, after which he shook his head and sighed. Looks like it wouldn't work. The second true lord became nervous and worried. The second true lord hesitated for a moment, immediately making up a lie. I opened up 10,081 small universe spaces, every one of them connecting to the universe origin laws, becoming an energy space. And these 10,081 spaces also formed space engravings, forming the shape of a sword. Just that. Duan Dongha looked at the second true lord. The second true lord was obviously making up a lie. Hearing Duan Dongha's question, he felt that there was a chance, replying, Of course not, I also opened up another 10,081 small universe spaces, forming time engravings, also forming the shape of a sword. Time and space grinds against each other. What nonsense! If you did that, your small universe would have long been in a state of internal strife. Duan Dongha laughed involuntarily next. Haha! Instantly, some experts couldn't help but laugh. The second true lord looked around angrily. He was indeed making things up, creating a structure purely out of his imagination. After all, when the universe was first formed, the internal structure of the universe was very cautious. No one dared to mess around. Although there were many ideas, they were all very cautious. When I became the strongest expert in the universe, the God Nation turned into a small universe. Its internal structure was split into 8 boundary worlds and 2 core worlds. The structure of the world was very stable. Although it's stable, it's very hard to break through. Duan Dongha shook his head. Next. These experts were all thinking hard. They didn't care about the true structure of their own universe, they were just making up lies to meet Duan Dongha's requirement. Next. Haha, interesting, are you sure your universe is like this? Mediocre. Duan Dongha listened to the replies of the experts and evaluated them one by one. When the 7th true lord finished speaking, Duan Dongha shook his head and said, Indeed, without the guidance of a stronger expert, trying to guess the structure of the universe through pure guesswork isn't very likely. The 7 of you can't inherit my Duan Dongha lineage. Your potential is too low. If you could solve 6,000 puzzles, my Duan Dongha lineage would be willing to pay a huge price. However, your puzzles are average and your potential is low. You definitely don't have the qualifications to inherit my Duan Dongha lineage. The 7 experts glanced at each other, all of them helpless. Tragedy. This time they came to accept the inheritance was a huge tragedy. Emperor Shi's puzzles were solved and now they were discriminated against, not even having the chance to come into contact with the inheritance. The other 292 experts from the various races were calm as well. Even the experts from the first reincarnation era might not have the qualifications to enter, but they could still face it calmly. After all, this wasn't targeting one side, but rather, all the strongest experts in the universe didn't have the qualifications to enter. I didn't expect the small universe structure to be so profound. Luo Feng thought, right, in the primal universe, those who can become the strongest are already at the pinnacle. Each small universe structure, who can say which is better? Only the ancient civilizations that gave birth to even stronger absolute beings would know clearly, in the later stages, which universe structure is better. This was the inheritance. It was the accumulated experience of countless ancestors over the generations, a path that led to the pinnacle. For this path, the ancestors had paid an unimaginable price, hence the value of every pinnacle inheritance was immeasurable. It was normal that the ancestors of the 2 sacred lands were moved by it. The 7 of you don't have the qualifications to enter. Duan Dongha sat in his throne and gazed below. Other than the 7 of you, all the other candidates from the God-eyed clan don't have the qualifications to enter either, and all of them will die. God-eyed clan? Luo Feng was shocked. What? Dear Buglord was shocked too. The God-eyed clan doesn't have the qualifications to enter? Blood Jade Lord was curious. That's impossible. The Shaman Lord's expression changed greatly. The entire God-eyed clan, 2nd True Lord, 7th True Lord, Shaman Lord, along with the Shadow Cloud Lord and Nightmare Lord, who broke through the first bottleneck, were all shocked. Rumble! The 7th True Lord immediately flipped his hand and took out the ultimate treasure, Ice Cliff Castle. He himself immediately entered the castle, and it swiftly expanded. On the ice-cold Crystal Mountain peak, the castle was very elegant and exquisite. At this time, the 7th True Lord communicated anxiously, "Hurry and enter." Immediately, the 2nd True Lord and the Shaman Lord didn't have time to be shocked and immediately entered the castle. Although it took a long time to describe, in fact, in an instant, the Holy-Eyed clan, including the 2 strongest experts in the universe, had a total of 28 candidates entered the Ice Cliff Castle. A ice cliff castle that emitted cold air landed on the ground, after which an angry voice sounded. Lord Duandongha, why is it that my holy-eyed clan is not qualified to enter, and even have to die? Why are we treated differently? If Lord Duandongha really doesn't want my holy-eyed clan to accept the inheritance, why didn't you tell my holy-eyed clan directly at the start of the test? It was just like how he had treated the bone race. He had said that the bone race did not have the right to receive the inheritance. If you had said so earlier, my holy-eyed clan wouldn't have had to come in. The holy-eyed clan was indeed furious to the point of going crazy. But no matter how angry they were, they knew that it was not too late to fight after hiding in the ice cliff castle. After all, with the ability of the strongest person in the universe to activate the ultimate treasure palace, even if it was Duandonghe had already fallen. A fallen Duandonghe would not be able to do anything to them. That's right, Lord Duandongha, why are you treating him differently? You gave us hope, yet made us despair. In the end, he said that we were not qualified and that we all had to die. Voices rang out one after another. It was obvious that the holy-eyed clan was furious. Duandongha sat on the throne and looked down. This is a request from a friend of mine. I owe him something, so I naturally agreed. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1266. Request. The warriors of the Holly-Eyed clan in Ice Cliff Castle were all so angry they wanted to eat the flesh of that friend from Duandonghe, drink his blood and gnaw on his bones. Hey! The Holly-Eyed clan's 7 small cosmos, first small cosmos. The 7 true lords gathered together and observed the progress of Duandonghe's inheritance. They were jealous of Luo Feng and Blood Red Knight's brilliance. They were unhappy that their clan didn't have any good candidates. They were also happy that the Shaman Gu leader broke through the second bottleneck. Just as their hearts were trembling from the opportunity to transcend reincarnation, Duandonghe actually said that the god-eyed race didn't have the right and all of them had to die. This instantly stunned the 7 true lord rank. A blow to the head. Despair. The 7 true lords were filled with despair and rage. Why did he cut off our Holly-Eyed clan's chance to escape the reincarnation? Why? Why was it so unfair? Why? Now they knew, it was actually a request from Duandonghe's friend. It was this friend's request that caused their Holly-Eyed clan to lose their chance. Even the elites of the 2 great cosmos had to die. Who? Just who is it? This Duandonghe's friend, just who is it? The first true lord let out a furious roar. In an instant, the entire first small cosmos changed color and trembled. Who was it that cut off our chance? Who was it? The other true lords too were filled with pain and rage. The 28 Holly-Eyed clan's candidates within Ice Cliff Castle felt despair, rage, grievance, unwillingness. Lord Duandonghe. The second true lord's voice resounded. Even though he was angry, he was still rational. This inheritance, our Holly-Eyed clan did as you requested. We fought against that monster Kuei Luo and solved the Shi-Emperor situation. Yet now, just because of someone's request, you want to wipe out our entire Holly-Eyed clan? Duandonghe gazed down at the Ice Cliff Castle and said coldly, wiping you all out is just a small matter. Is there no way to turn this around? The second true lord asked unwillingly. Laughable. Duandonghe laughed. Hearing this laugh, the second true lord finally gave up and roared, Duandonghe, you old bastard who's died so many times, you want to wipe out our Holly-Eyed clan? It won't be that easy. I want to see how capable a dead guy like you can be. The 7th true lord's voice also sounded, Duandonghe, who is your friend? Who wants to destroy my Holy-Eyed clan? Who is it? Who is it? Another few angry voices sounded. They really wanted to know which bastard had caused their Holy-Eyed clan to fall into such a hopeless situation. Don't worry. Istwanha looked down. I will let you know. Then, He pointed into the distance. Hua! One of the walls of the hall suddenly split open, revealing a passageway. The experts from the other forces of the cosmic sea looked over. They all wanted to know who it was that caused the Holy-Eyed clan to fall into such a predicament. Luo Feng also looked at the pathway. He could vaguely see a blurry silhouette slowly walking out. He had golden scales, standing upright like a human, a pair of golden wings on his back, 9 pairs of eyes sweeping over. No one dared to look him in the eye. It's him. Luo Feng was shocked at the warrior that appeared. Thundercloak Demon God? The Thundercloak Fiend Celestial was the strongest expert in the universe who traveled alone in the second Samsara era. He could only be considered ordinary among the strongest experts in the universe because he did not have a supreme treasure. And the treasure that made him famous, the lightning robe, was a treasure similar to the crazy demon god vanquishing armor. In the cosmic sea, he was considered an extremely low-profile one. Thundercloak. It's him? Duan Dong He's friend, Thundercloak Demon God. It wasn't just Luo Feng that was shocked. The East Emperor Sacred Land, Purple Moon Sacred Land, and the other 3 reincarnation eras were all shocked. This low-profile Thundercloak Demon God, who had almost no news about him, was actually involved in this matter. Thundercloak? You were the one who made Duan Dong He cut off our Holy-Eyed clan's chance, and even wanted to destroy us? The second true lord still couldn't believe it. Thundercloak? It's you? The 7th true lord couldn't believe it too. Thundercloak Demon God walked out from the pathway. His expression was sometimes ferocious, and sometimes he laughed silently. He seemed to be unable to control himself as he raised his head and laughed silently for a while, before gritting his teeth and trembling. Right, it's me, Thundercloak, it's me who instigated all of this. I was the one who cut off your Holy-Eyed clan's chance. I was the one who wanted to destroy you all. The second true lord, the 7th true lord. Haha, over 10 universe lords, haha. Thundercloak Demon God's voice was trembling. Damn it. The 7th true lord roared. Thundercloak Demon God, you deserve to die. The second true lord roared too. The ice cliff castle below the main hall made many noises. Thundercloak Demon God stood there and laughed coldly at the ice cliff castle. Deserve to die? I deserve to die. You all deserve to die. All of you Holy-Eyed clan deserve to die. Damn Holy-Eyed clan. In order to obtain the supreme treasure, the 7 true lord ranks ganged up on me and Kong Luo. How ruthless. Kong Luo died and I had to flee. Thundercloak Demon God gritted his teeth. Kong Luo and I are indeed easy to bully. We are not strong enough and we don't have any supreme treasure. Yes, we are easy to bully. Your Holy-Eyed clan is powerful. In the entire cosmic sea, you are the only force that can match up to the 2 sacred lands. How can a person like me, who doesn't even have a supreme treasure, fight against you all? In front of your Holy-Eyed clan, I am weak and weak. What am I? Thundercloak shook his head and laughed crazily. You didn't expect this, right? This time, you fell into my hands. Thundercloak Demon God stared at the ice cliff castle, his eyes burning with flames. I didn't expect that a weak Thundercloak Demon God like me could make your Holy-Eyed clan suffer such a huge loss. Why would Duan Dong River listen to you? A hoarse voice came from the ice cliff castle. Because I am the first to enter the grave boat. Thundercloak Demon God laughed coldly. Complete silence. Luo Feng and the others were shocked. They were actually not the first to enter the grave boat. It was actually this Thundercloak Demon God? However, from the looks of it, it should be so. They and the other powerful warriors had just arrived in this hall, while Thundercloak Demon God had been here long ago and had even become friends with Duan Dong River. Thundercloak Demon God laughed loudly. You all thought that the grave boat would be here? The grave boat actually appeared in the core area of the universe boat. The core area is a place that even the strongest warriors of the universe don't dare to barge into. They only dare to stay in familiar areas. When the grave boat appeared, none of you knew if I wasn't the strongest in the universe, I wouldn't have been able to receive the inheritance. When would it have been your turn? That's why I made a deal with Duandong River. Honestly speaking, you all have to thank me. Thundercloak Demon God's gaze swept and landed on Luofeng. Especially you, human Milky Way, you have to thank me even more. Luofeng smiled. Thundercloak Demon God laughed too. I have to thank you too. I have to thank you for performing the best and having the highest potential, and not letting the Holy-Eyed clan snatch first place. The Ice Cliff Castle was silent. They indeed didn't expect that a weak and harmless Thundercloak Demon God, who didn't even have a powerful treasure, could actually make the Holy-Eyed clan suffer such a huge loss. Normally, even the Lord of Five Turbid, the Lord of Shadow Dust and the Lord of Shaman Venom would dare to clash head-on with the Thundercloak Demon God. At most, they would be at a disadvantage. However, at this moment, they understood that the situation was really bad. Thundercloak Demon God said softly, I'll let your Holy-Eyed clan have a chance to enter. I'll let you all be ecstatic. And then, when you all are at your most excited, I'll make you all despair. Thundercloak Demon God laughed coldly. If your Holy-Eyed clan had someone who could be ranked first in solving the Emperor Shi's game, then I'd have a headache. After all, Duandong River definitely wouldn't let me kill the one with the highest potential. However, your Holy-Eyed clan is useless, so you're all destined to fall. Aren't you afraid that our Holy-Eyed clan has someone with the highest potential and is ranked first? Then wouldn't you want to harm our Holy-Eyed clan and help us instead? Within the Ice Cliff Castle, Second True Lord laughed coldly. Haha, firstly, I don't believe that your Holy-Eyed clan will be ranked first out of the 3 reincarnation ages and 2 sacred lands. Thundercloak Demon God sneered. Secondly, I'm already prepared. If your Holy-Eyed clan is really lucky to have such an expert with limitless potential, I'd rather die myself and drag him down with me. Thundercloak Demon God turned to look at Duandong River above and bowed slightly. Lord Duandong River, please forgive me for being disrespectful. I can understand. Duandong River nodded slightly. Lord Duandong River, I've kept this hatred in my heart for too long. I've finally said it. Thundercloak Demon God laughed. Lord Duandong River, you can take action against them. Alright. Duandong River nodded. Take action? Within the Ice Cliff Castle, the 28 experts of the Holy-Eyed clan instantly became nervous. Thundercloak, you want to kill us? I want to see if this old fellow from the reincarnation age, who has died countless times, has the ability to kill us. Second True Lord roared. You'll know very soon. Thundercloak Demon God's eyes were filled with pity as he sneered. Furthermore, after you die, your supreme treasure will belong to me. Come, come, let me see how strong this dead guy is. The Second True Lord and the 7th True Lord roared. Boom. The Ice Cliff Castle suddenly turned into a stream of light, bringing with it boundless power as it smashed towards Thundercloak Demon God. Freeze. Duandongha looked downwards and pointed into the distance. The walls and floor of the entire hall immediately started to emit countless golden inscriptions. Countless golden threads condensed in mid-air and surged towards the Ice Cliff Castle. They were like silk wrapping around the Ice Cliff Castle layer by layer, binding and binding the Ice Cliff Castle. Boom! The Ice Cliff Castle struggled crazily, causing the surrounding void to tremble. However, countless golden threads were binding and binding it, causing the Ice Cliff Castle to be unable to break free. It can only bind and not kill. A voice came from within the Ice Cliff Castle. Ultimate treasure, it's after all an ultimate treasure. What a joke. Duandong River looked down and lightly pointed at the ground. Instantly, the ground split apart and a deep abyss appeared. A terrifying aura spread out from the abyss. The Ice Cliff Castle was being bound by countless golden threads as it was forcefully dragged towards the entrance of the abyss. Although the secret technique left behind in this hall is unable to kill you, the other dangerous places that I've left behind in my inheritance are able to kill you. Ultimate treasure? What a joke. In my hometown, there's no such thing as an ultimate treasure. Duandong River shook his head and sneered. What? The ice cliff castle struggled crazily as the second true lord and seventh true lord roared furiously. However, it was still dragged into the abyss by countless golden threads. But the ground that had split apart instantly closed, and everything returned to normal. Times to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1267. Ice Cliff Castle was dragged into the abyss. Just the energy emanating from it made Luo Feng feel fear within. This ancient civilization that has been gone for who knows how many reincarnation eras, their methods are indeed powerful. Indeed, a civilization that can create a universe boat. Just Duandong River's modification of the tomb boat is able to make it so terrifying. The more than 200 experts in the hall were listening carefully, trying to determine the fate of the holy-eyed clan within the Ice Cliff Castle from the sound. After all, it's an absolute treasure palace. It's hard to die in there. Haven't you heard? Back at Duandong River's home, in that ancient civilization, there's no such thing as an absolute treasure. Countless treasures contain words from that civilization. Obviously, these are the countless treasures left behind by that ancient civilization. Since Duandong River dares to say it, then it must have some confidence. There's no such thing as an absolute treasure? What does that mean? A few warriors couldn't help but discuss. Luo Feng too had countless thoughts in his mind. Right. That ancient civilization was incomparably strong. They had beings much stronger than the strongest in the universe. Even the two sacred lands' ancestors might not be able to compare to the pinnacle beings of the ancient civilization. Once one's vision was higher, one's view of the weapons would naturally be different. Just from his own experience in the wing space, he knew even the absolute treasures had differences in strength. In the eyes of the weak, unable to unleash the full power of the absolute treasures, naturally it was hard to determine which was stronger or weaker. However, in the hands of the Sacred Land's ancestors, in Duandong River, even more terrifying beings, naturally they could determine the strength of these treasures. Hence, in the ancient civilization, there was no such thing as an absolute treasure. As for the so-called absolute treasures, the ancient civilization probably had even clearer classifications. However, those classifications didn't mean much to him, because in this era, the strongest were the strongest in the universe. As for the two Sacred Lands ancestors, they had never left the Sacred Land universe before. The powers of the outside world all suspected if these two ancestors were still alive. Killer Wu wings. There were originally 6 pairs of wings. Luo Feng nodded within. According to the memories of the winged spirit, it should be 2 absolute warriors battling, causing the Killer Wu's wings to be damaged. For such an unbelievable treasure like the Killer Wu's wings to be reduced to such a state, just how terrifying were those 2 absolute warriors? They were probably also warriors from the ancient civilization. Compared to the ancient civilization, after the endless reincarnation era, their strength had clearly deteriorated greatly. They were far from being able to compare to that civilization. Right as Luo Feng was thinking about the ancient civilization, imagining how powerful it was and guessing why it disappeared in the river of time, the floor of the hall split open once more. This time, it was at the location where it had split open earlier, and a terrifying aura emanated from it. Xiao! 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 3 streams of light flew out and floated in front of the Thundercloak Fiend Celestial. The 3 items were an ice cliff castle the size of a fist that looked like an ice jade sculpture, a strange mutated beast sculpture, and a resplendent tricolored bead. According to your classification of the 3 treasures, 2 of them are supreme treasures, and the last one is quite special. Although it's not a supreme treasure, I think it's quite suitable for you. Duan Dongha looked down and smiled. Lei, take it. The lightning cloak fiend celestial looked at the 3 treasures in front of him in a daze, his eyes filled with mixed emotions. These 3 treasures, Ice Cliff Castle? Isn't that the true God world? Illusionary heart bead. The 200+ warriors beside, especially the 5 strongest of the universe, could tell with a glance, and they were all envious. However, following which, they all broke out in a commotion. 3 treasures, the god-eyed race is dead? The 2nd and 7th True Lord were both in the Ice Cliff Castle, they're both dead. Those universe lords could still self-destruct earlier, relying on their clones to survive. However, the 2nd and 7th True Lord didn't have clones. Even if they wanted to escape, they wouldn't have been able to. The 2 strongest of the universe, they both had absolute treasures on them. They were actually killed just like that? This is simply, that ancient civilization is too terrifying. The 200+ warriors were all speechless. To them, the absolute treasure palace was an absolute safe place. Unless one risked their lives and charged into another small universe, or went to the core area, or went through reincarnation, etc., otherwise, there was no way to break through the protection of the absolute treasure palace and kill the beings within. Vision. With Duan Dongha's vision, he naturally knew that no treasure was absolutely invincible. In his eyes, the Ice Cliff Castle. He quickly determined the power and weakness of the Ice Cliff Castle. The other 200+ warriors in the hall were both shocked and envious. After all, it was 2 treasures and an illusionary heart bead. The illusionary heart bead was a special treasure, suitable for casting illusionary attacks, and also had the ability to guard the soul. It was an extremely powerful treasure in the aspect of the soul, and the Thunder God was naturally suitable for casting illusions. You can easily recognize the illusionary heart bead as your master. Duan Dongha looked down and said directly, as for the remaining 2 supreme treasures, the Ice Cliff Castle, as long as your willpower is strong enough, you will be able to recognize it as your master. Only in the true God world, it is extremely difficult to recognize a master. Go back and think about it carefully. The Thunder God nodded excitedly. He was also very straightforward, and immediately recognized the illusionary heart bead as his master. The illusionary heart bead and the Ice Cliff Castle were indeed accomplished in one go. Although I have many peak-level treasures, the only truly special treasure is the Thunder Robe. The Thunder God sighed. I've always been fighting in close combat, and I never had a good treasure for my illusionary abilities. Now that I have the illusionary heart bead, my offensive means are much stronger. And with the protection of the Ice Cliff Castle, the Holy-Eyed Clan, the Thunder God's 9 pairs of eyes flashed with a fierce light. This made the other 200+ warriors sigh. The pitiful Holy-Eyed Clan. Once the Thunder God became stronger, how could he let the Holy-Eyed Clan off when he left? Thank you, Lord Duan Dongha. The Thunder God bowed gratefully. The matter is settled. In the hall, Duan Dongha nodded slightly from his throne. You can leave now. As for the other candidates, Duan Dongha's gaze swept across the other 200+ warriors. We are about to come into contact with the inheritance. Once we come into contact with the inheritance, those who fail will definitely die. Moreover, their souls will be annihilated, and many of their avatars will perish. My lineage requires souls to cultivate, so I have chosen those with souls. Naturally, I have methods to deal with souls. The 200+ warriors were shocked. That's right. It was true. The rock giant lord, bone race and other lifeforms that were eliminated by the magic cube didn't have souls. As for the other rock lifeforms and plant lifeforms that could enter, they were rather special as they had souls. The ones that have broken through the 3rd bottleneck are only In He and Bai Shui. Duan Dongha looked down and said coldly, the 2 of them have the most hope, and the 4 that have broken through the 2nd bottleneck also have a sliver of hope. As for the ones that have broken through the first bottleneck, unless you are able to explode your potential in a short period of time, you are just there to make up the numbers. Now, Lei Yi and the other 5 strongest experts of the universe. I will send them off. If any of you have decided to give up, make your decision quickly. This is your last chance. Duan Dongha's voice reverberated in the hall. The hall was silent. From the start of the inheritance, Duan Dongha had been giving the candidates the chance to give up. As long as they didn't come into contact with the inheritance, everything would be fine. And now that they were about to come into contact with the inheritance, this was their last chance to survive. Even the 2nd and 7th True Lords hiding in the Ice Cliff Castle were done for. No one dared to have any hope. I quit! I quit! I quit! Very quickly, many warriors stood out to quit. Like the primal universe human leader Pring Gong, who broke through the first bottleneck, a knight and an undying all chose to quit. All of you quit. To be able to break through the first bottleneck, your potential is extraordinary. Going to the inheritance is suicide. Our race already has Luo Feng, there's no point in you going. The huge axe creator in the virtual universe said directly. As for Pling Gong, he's one of the pillars of our race, there's no need for him to die. Yes. You quit. As for the other warriors of our race, let them go. Remember, bring back the treasures. Losing so many treasures is a huge blow to our race. Yes. The other warriors of our sacred land will all go, we have to get enough information on the inheritance. You can quit and bring back the treasures. Yes. The various powers were swiftly making arrangements. Due to various reasons, be it bringing back the treasures, or feeling pity for the strong and unwilling to be cannon fodder, anyway, the number of people leaving the hall was soaring. After a while, within the hazy hall of the tomb boat, there were only 236 who had decided to continue with the inheritance, the other 10 had all decided to leave. You all hurry and leave. Duan Dong, he pointed into the distance. Rumble, the door of the pathway open. Return the way we came. Duan Dong, he ordered. The 6 strongest warriors of the universe, including Lei Yi, the universe lords, a small number of universe knights, undyings, swiftly flew into the passageway and soon disappeared. Rumble, the gate closed again. The 236 experts in the hall had all made up their minds. They would rather die. They had to send back a portion of the information. Luo Feng looked around, admiring them. Within of the 236 present, 235 of them were destined to die. And the ones with the highest hopes of surviving were Luo Feng and Blood Red Knight. As for the others, they were all here to take the risk. Especially those who broke through the first bottleneck, it was basically suicide. Every race was able to rise and stand within their own reincarnation era. This was all because the strong of the race were willing to stand up at the most crucial moment. Actually, the strong had climbed up step by step from the bottom, experiencing countless life and death situations. They had long been indifferent to death. The only thing they had to know was whether it was worth it or not. For the race to transcend the reincarnation and become eternal beings, even death was worth it. You all have no way out. Duan Dong, he stood up. It's destined that only one can receive my Duan Dong, he's inheritance. Follow me. Duan Dong, he turned to look at the throne. Rumble, the throne and the stone wall behind it suddenly split open. Countless sounds of waterfalls and flowers wafted over, there were even bird cries and beast roars. That was a vast independent space. This is my Duan Dong, he's inheritance space. Duan Dong, he's gaze was distant as he said slowly, almost all the strong warriors have received their inheritances in here. I too am the same. Asterisk to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1268. At the cabin door of the tomb boat. East Tharch Sacred Grounds North True Star Lord and the other strong martial artists, who were waiting at the cabin door saw Lei Yi Devil God, Emobu, and the other candidates retreating. They were shocked to hear a cold voice, "All of you, leave the tomb boat quickly. The cabin door of the tomb boat is about to close. If you don't leave now, you won't have the chance to leave again." The cabin door is about to close? Only one person can survive the inheritance, and that is the next Duandong River. The others are all dead. It seems like even the escape route is sealed. Go. The Northern True Star Lord and a large group of existences hurriedly flew out. The moment the majestic group of nearly 100 experts flew out of the cabin door, the door instantly slammed shut. The entire tomb boat no longer had an exit. This caused the nearly 100 experts who flew out to look back at the cabin door, all of them sighing incessantly. Lei Demon God, I'm impressed. Lei Demon God, I didn't expect the inheritance to be guided by you. You even caused the holy-eyed race to suffer such a huge loss. Haha, the holy-eyed race must hate you. The other experts present all looked at Lei Demon God. They did not have any animosity towards Lei Demon God. Firstly, if not for Lei Demon God, when would they have discovered the inheritance of Duandong River? Secondly, Lei Demon God was only targeting the holy-eyed race. He had helped them by having one less enemy. Moreover, Lei Demon God had the Ice Cliff Castle. It was too difficult to kill him. Moreover, once he refined the true God world, Lei Demon God would definitely become one of the most difficult experts in the universe to deal with. Moreover, he was a Lone Ranger. Everyone was naturally willing to befriend him. What I want is for them to hate me. The more they hate me, the happier I am. Lei Demon God grunted. After becoming the strongest expert in the universe, I still have to suffer the humiliation of the holy-eyed race. Even my only friend, Kong Luo, was killed by them. In this life, I have no race. I have no other desires. I only wish for the holy-eyed race to regret what they have done. I want them to suffer unbearably and even exterminate their race. This caused the other experts to exchange glances with each other, and they were secretly shocked. How much hatred was there? The pitiful holy-eyed race. Dear true lords, when the Ice Cliff Castle was drawn into the abyss, the second true lord immediately felt that something was wrong and ordered all of us to self-destruct. Hence the Undyings, Universe Knights and Universe Lords with clones all self-destructed to escape. Master Voodoo respectfully reported to the 5 True Lord clones. That abyss is extremely powerful. It should also contain illusory attacks. The second True Lord and the 7th True Lord both had a hard time dealing with it and couldn't take it anymore, so we immediately self-destructed. One by one, the survivors described the situation. The faces of the other 5 True Lords were extremely ugly. They already knew the details. This was the best chance for their holy-eyed clan to transcend reincarnation. However, they did not expect the Thunder-Robed Demon God to appear midway. Not only did he cut off their chance, he even caused the death of the 2nd True Lord and the 7th True Lord. They were 2 of the strongest experts in the universe, and they had 2 extremely important treasures. The 7 True Lord ranks had their own way of fighting together. Now that 2 of them were gone, even if the remaining 5 joined forces, their power would be greatly reduced. Damn it! The 6 True Lord's eyes were ice-cold. Thunder-Robed Demon God, damn that Thunder-Robed Demon God! He destroyed the hope of our holy-eyed clan. He should have killed him at all costs. The 5th True Lord gritted his teeth and roared. Back then, who knew that the Thunder-Robed Demon God would be so lucky and find the tomb boat first? The 3rd True Lord said hoarsely, a Thunder-Robed Demon God without any treasures and with average strength, didn't he keep a low profile after the matter? It was purely his luck, otherwise, how would this have happened? Damn it! He destroyed the greatest hope of our holy-eyed clan and even caused the 7th True Lord and the others. 2nd and 7th True Lord. The 1st True Lord murmured slowly with a pained expression. If our holy-eyed clan has no hope of transcending reincarnation, we will drag the thunder-robed demon god down with us. The fifth true lord gritted his teeth and raged. Calm down. The first true lord opened his eyes and shook his head. Let's leave revenge until the end. Our time is near. Our clan has to fight for a chance of survival and transcend reincarnation. That's our biggest goal. If we can't transcend reincarnation, our holy-eyed clan's glory will disappear forever. I'm afraid after a few more reincarnations, no one will know about our holy-eyed clan. While the holy-eyed clan was in pain, the East Emperor's sacred land and the primal universe humans were all anticipating. The East Emperor's sacred land's ancient ancestor personally chatted with Blood Jade Knight and Lord Yozin. Obviously he was filled with anticipation. The huge axe creator and primal chaos city leader also met Luo Feng. The Purple Moon sacred land's purple moon ancestor met Deer Bug Lord. The various powers were all anticipating. The responsibility of their clans was placed on the candidates, causing them to be incomparably excited. Since they had already decided to interact with the inheritance, it was equivalent to a path of death. After all, the ones with the highest hopes were Luo Feng and Blood Jade Knight. The other warriors would definitely die. What they had to do was to try their best to send a message back to their clans before they died. Passing the reincarnation is very difficult. Even the ancestor back then didn't have any confidence in passing it. And I'm still a distance away from the ancestor back then, much less passing the reincarnation. The huge axe creator looked at Luo Feng. Who knows how many reincarnation eras have passed? There's only a total of 2 sacred land universes. The difficulty of passing the reincarnation is unimaginable. Even though I, the huge axe, am extremely confident, I don't dare say I can pass it within 3 reincarnation eras. And this chance is the greatest chance for our human race. And you are also the candidate with the highest chance. Our human race has climbed up step by step from being weak. Under the leadership of the ancestor, we rose from the primal universe's strongest race, becoming one of the pinnacle races. Our human race has experienced countless wars with other races. We've faced the danger of being wiped out multiple times, until the ancestor rose. Until now, our human race has grown strong. Countless human descendants can freely roam the virtual universe, using large amounts of resources to train. Even many races have become our vassals. Our human race is the strongest race. At least we have the strongest heart. We're never satisfied with being weak. Our human race is also never satisfied with being destroyed in the river of time. The huge axe creator looked at Luo Feng. Our human race wants to be eternal, even stronger than the 2 sacred lands. We can even reach the ancient civilization level and create an even more glorious and powerful civilization. And this time is a chance. Every warrior's rise has a crucial turning point. And for a race to rise, there's also a crucial turning point. Your encounter this time is the crucial turning point of our human race's fate. There are 2 paths at the turning point. Which path humanity's fate will enter will depend on you. The huge axe creator looked at Luo Feng, filled with anticipation. Luo Feng nodded seriously. I'll give it my all. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The cries of birds and the roars of strange beasts could be heard. This was a paradise filled with birdsong and fragrant flowers. Looking from afar, some birds could be seen spreading their wings and flying as if they were showing off their feathers. Wherever they passed, they would leave behind some fiery rainbows or some gorgeous colorful lights, and in the distance, there were beast silhouettes in the wild grass, or even further away in the lake, occasionally revealing the tip of an iceberg. This is the inheritance space. Duan Dong. He stood in mid-air, his gaze distant. This is where the past generations of Duan Dong, he received the inheritance. The warriors of the various races floated behind. The entrance that appeared when they entered was already sealed shut. Obviously there was no way out. However, Luo Feng and the others couldn't care less. They were all filled with anticipation for the inheritance they were about to receive. At the same time, they were shocked. If this inheritance space really was where the past generations of Duandong he received the inheritance, then it had existed for far too long. It's said to be the inheritance space. Duandong, he exclaimed. However, it can absorb energy. It can absorb all energy, including the chaos energy within the universe C. It can maintain the stability of the space and sustain the life within. Even though Luo Feng and the others were shocked, they quickly calmed down. Because they were used to it. Even though normal warriors, including the strongest in the universe, had no way of directly absorbing the chaos energy, only the small universe or primal universe could absorb the chaos energy and transform it into their own. However, these laws didn't apply to the ancient civilizations. Like the universe boat, like this inheritance space, they could all exist for extremely long periods of time. Even the small universe could only exist for 3 reincarnations. This inheritance space, however, existed for countless reincarnations. Right now, you are about to touch the inheritance. Duandong, he pointed into the distance. Look. Luo Feng and the others all looked over. Doors of light suddenly rose from the vast wasteland in the distance. Each door of light had a picture on it, and if one looked closely at the picture, one could vaguely see an expert controlling millions of golden lights to attack the scene in the distance. Looking at the other pictures would reveal other scenes. My Duandong he's inheritors over the years, some close combat, some long-range attacks, some weapon crafting, some controlling machines. It pretty much encompasses everything from my home world. Duandong, he pointed into the distance. There are a total of 820 entrances in the distance. After entering, one can obtain different basic inheritances. Every entrance can only have one person enter to receive the inheritance. Inhe goes first, Jade Blood goes second, go on. Duandong, he said directly. This is only the basic inheritance, to verify if you are suitable for my Duandong he. When the final inheritor is decided, only then will the final inheritor have the right to receive the true core inheritance. This is also the inheritance that only Duandong he of every generation has the right to know. Begin to choose. Duandong he ordered. Looking at Luo Feng, Inhe, you choose. Yes, Lord Duandong he. Luo Feng bowed slightly, after which he became a resplendent beam of light and flew through the sky, heading towards the 820 entrances, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1269. The glowing space entrances floated in rows, a total of 820 of them. This is just the basic inheritance, and there's actually so many. Luo Feng's body solidified. Floating in mid-air, his gaze swept past the many doors of light, carefully studying and understanding the inheritance each entrance represented. Basic inheritance, to Duandong River, it wasn't that important, even if it was spread outside, it wouldn't matter, hence they used it for the last round of selection. However, the basic inheritances of the ancient civilization were fine. To Luo Feng and the other powers of the universe C, they were different. After all, the ancient civilization was simply too strong. It's mainly split into close combat, long-range attack, treasure crafting, machinery and miscellaneous. Luo Feng's gaze swept past, categorizing the controlling of life forms and other peculiar battle techniques as miscellaneous. Close combat, long-range attack, treasure crafting, they were all very simple. The machinery, however, was controlling machinery. On a smaller scale, like Earth's use of firearms etc., on a larger scale, like the entire universe boat was considered a battleship, it was also considered machinery. Hence, when the machinery was developed to the extreme, it was extremely strong too. Duandong River had many strong warriors, some with long lifespans had other hobbies, leaving behind some mechanical basic inheritances was very normal. Right now it's time to select the inheritors. Luo Feng carefully observed every door of light. Hence I have to choose what I'm good at. If I choose something I don't understand at all, I'm afraid just getting started will take a long time. The basic inheritances are just the appetizers. Duandong River's core inheritances, that's the real feast. Luo Feng's gaze landed on a glowing space entrance. There were some pictures on it. Looking carefully, one could see a blurry human silhouette wielding a blade, wantonly slaughtering. This was obviously a close combat inheritance that used the blade. This is it. Luo Feng nodded within. Blade. He had been training in blade techniques since he was young, after which he used the blood shadow blade. Along the way, even when he killed Wu Yue, he used his blade technique. Later on, the series of golden light, misty light, gold splitting etc. were all blade technique. Through the engraving school's research, he mainly created blade technique. His own blade research, even in the entire cosmic sea, was definitely at the top. Lord Duandongha, I've already chosen. Luo Feng turned around and looked into the distance as he said respectfully, "It's the one behind me." As he said that, Luo Feng was already standing outside the entrance of the blade inheritance. Many of the more than 200 experts behind Duandongha revealed a trace of unwillingness, because they also wanted to choose the saber inheritance. Among the strong warriors in the universe, close combat was the majority, and the blade was definitely one of the major categories. Many of these 200 strong warriors were good at using the blade, and they all wanted to choose the inheritance of the blade. Unfortunately, each basic inheritance could only be accepted by one person, so they had to choose someone else. "Alright, Jade Blood, you choose," Duandongha said. "Yes, Sir Duandongha." The Blood Jade Venerable bowed slightly, then turned into a stream of light and flew towards the floating spatial entrances. He began to choose the one that was most suitable for him. Next, Shui Song. It was all based on Emperor Rhino's performance in the game. Toward the end, the candidates could only grit their teeth and helplessly choose something they weren't good at, such as forging precious treasures. Perhaps by the time they figured out a thing or two, the final successor would have already been chosen. Moments later, the more than 200 warriors all chose and floated in front of their chosen spatial doors. All enter and begin accepting the basic inheritances. Duandongha ordered indifferently, "Until the successor is chosen, the other candidates will all fall." Yes. The more than 200 warriors were all incomparably respectful, after which they all turned and flew into the glowing spatial doors. Duandongha watched as the candidates all entered, his expression complicated, muttering, "The inheritance space has finally been activated again. How long has it been? Just how long has it been? It's been too long, so long that my memories are starting to blur. When this matter ends, I'll be able to perish and not let down my ancestors." Luo Feng flew into the spatial door. Immediately time and space changed. This was a chaotic world. The surroundings were filled with chaotic energy flows, and above was darkness. Only a single star hung there, emitting light that illuminated the area below. Luo Feng walked on the chaotic energy flows, surveying his surroundings. Where was this blade inheritance? What? High up in the sky, the star in the center of the endless darkness suddenly shot down a beam of light visible to the naked eye, enveloping him. Luo Feng didn't dodge. The moment the beam enveloped him, a cold mechanical voice resounded, "Core Authority. Activating the Core Authority Basic Inheritance." Rumble. Immediately large amounts of information rushed madly into Luo Feng's mind. Many extremely detailed blade techniques rushed in, from roughly the level of a universe knight, gradually delving deeper into the mysteries of the blade, all the way to the universe's strongest level. Every blade technique was from a different point of view. Some had the gold and space laws as their foundations, some had the water and space laws as their foundations, some had the earth and space laws as their foundations. There were even blade techniques that were merged with the gold, water, and earth laws. There were even blade techniques that were merged with gold and time laws. Various blade techniques, if they couldn't be merged, they wouldn't be able to be merged. A total of 360 blade techniques. All of them were transferred into Luo Feng's mind in one go, causing him to feel a little dazed. His mind seemed to slow down. One had to know that every single technique had an ocean's worth of information. Even with Luo Feng's willpower and God energy, it took him a total of 2 days to transfer everything. Phew, it's too mysterious. Luo Feng blinked stupidly. Studying the Shi Emperor game for such a long time, my engraving technique has indeed greatly improved. If I wanted to create it, creating a fusion of the strongest techniques should be very easy. However, to create a universe's strongest technique, that's not quite possible. However, these 360 manuals, every single one of them has the strongest level of blade techniques in the universe, and they all go from shallow to deep, and every single one of the strongest blade techniques are not weaker than the huge axe technique the creator of the huge axe used back then. Luo Feng said, "This blade technique. It wasn't simply touching the universe's strongest level, but reaching the pinnacle of the universe's strongest level, no weaker than the creator's axe technique. And these techniques, a total of 360. It was too crazy. It was impossible for any force to have such an achievement in the field of the saber. Of course, these were all techniques created by other warriors, not Luo Feng's, hence even if he learned them, he wouldn't be able to match the creator's power. The truly suitable techniques were all created by himself." Rumble, rumble, rumble. Suddenly, the resplendent stars in the dark sky suddenly shot out 3 beams of light. Within these 3 beams of light were huge ice mountains. 3 majestic ice mountains fell from the stars and landed within the chaos energy flow. Every ice mountain was over 100 million km tall, and they were sparkling like transparent crystals, and within every ice mountain, there were faint meteor-like light beams flying about. Within the 3 ice mountains, countless rays of light from the shooting stars intertwined with each other, naturally forming a magnificent picture. This was a natural treasure. You have the core authority, so you can obtain the 360 secret manuals left behind by the powerhouses of the past as a reference. You're the first candidate for the inheritance selection this time, so you can view 3 saber mountains. Each saber mountain contains a saber law inscription. The law inscription contains the ultimate power and reveals all the ultimate secret. You can view 3 saber mountains and use the 360 secret manuals of saber as a reference to create a new saber technique. When your saber technique meets the requirements, you'll be the new inheritor of the East-breaking river progeny. After the cold mechanical voice finished speaking, it fell silent. Luo Feng blinked. Blade Mountains? Luo Feng looked at the 3 blade mountains before him. Within these 3 majestic crystal-clear ice mountains, there were countless meteor-like dazzling lights. Even the origin laws he had studied before paled in comparison. It was as if every single one of those beautiful and enchanting runes of law contained endless mysteries. "It's unbelievable, it contains the ultimate power?" Luo Feng muttered. "And I can feel its power, it indeed exceeds any other origin law, and it seems to contain all of them. A power that surpassed the origin laws. All the experts in the cosmic sea cultivated the Tao of nomological laws. Only then could they obtain the recognition of the primeval universe and become a universe supremacy or the lord of the universe. But these nomological runes, these beautiful nomological runes that resembled meteors were transcendent." "What?" Luo Feng revealed a look of shock. His first thought was to simulate these 3 blade mountains in the virtual universe. However, what shocked him was it was too difficult, because within every ice mountain, there were large amounts of meteor lights that were constantly changing, and they didn't repeat at all. Even simulating a fixed scene was extremely difficult, much less simulating a constantly changing scene, unless he didn't train at all. "I'm temporarily unable to simulate it." Luo Feng shook his head. "Borrowing from the 360 manuals? Viewing the Blade Mountains?" Comprehending the blade techniques? Luo Feng held his breath. Since he was unable to simulate the blade mountains in the virtual universe, then he wouldn't do it, he would focus on training. Luo Feng stared at the 3 blade mountains within the 3 ice and blade mountains. It was as though countless shooting stars were dancing about. It was extremely beautiful, one could vaguely see a blade light dancing about. Sets of blade techniques appeared. Luo Feng revealed a look of shock. This was indeed a blade origin law engraving, it was indeed the ultimate energy within. Simultaneously, Luo Feng was multitasking, simultaneously studying the blade manuals. Countless blade techniques flashed through his mind as his heart moved. The countless meteors within the blade mountains formed the blades too, moving according to his heart. Once he understood, he could see the profoundness. These 3 mountains of blades were like the 3 most ancient and powerful grandmasters of the blade. They had reached the pinnacle of the blade, but they were too profound. Luo Feng had to use the 360 secret manuals of the blade to slowly unveil the secrets of these 3 mountains of blades. During this process, Luo Feng's knowledge of the blade was continuously increasing. The climax was about to begin. Tomato shouted loudly, "Smash the recommendation votes. * to be continued. If you like this work, you're welcome to drop a recommendation vote. Monthly vote, your support is my biggest motivation." Chapter 1270. Luo Feng studied hungrily. Compared to these 3 ice mountains, any warrior would pale in comparison. Those beautiful origin law engravings that were like shooting stars were the true mysteries within. Just looking at them was a form of enjoyment, causing Luo Feng's understanding of the blade to constantly rise. Immersed in his study, half a year had passed unknowingly. Even though it was half a year, the true study of the netherworld ocean clone was in the small universe, hence it had been 5,000 years. Merge! The master of the cosmos is powerful, but his so-called fusion technique, River in the Dark Night, is too rigid. Luo Feng shook his head. First it was like the miniature universe, this area of effect technique, to support his attacks. Even though the merging is good, it's still a shortcut. This is the true path of fusing the strongest secret techniques. A battle blade suddenly appeared in Luo Feng's hand. It was the absolute guest blade. Ever since he got the insane demon exterminating armor, his strongest battle technique was naturally the exterminating god. Hence, he rarely used the absolute guest blade. The misty light, I've long broken through to the strongest level, I'll use this misty light, to merge. Luo Feng said softly. His attainments in the mysterious pattern school were extremely profound, so he had already comprehended several of the strongest secret techniques before the trip to the tomb boat. For example, the misty light, which was originally an ultimate secret technique of the Overlord of the universe, had been perfected and reached the realm of the strongest secret technique of the Lord of the universe. Standing on the chaotic energy flow, looking at the distant 3 ice mountains, Luo Feng wielded the absolute guest blade and immediately moved. Hua, a misty thread suddenly appeared in mid-air. That was a thread left behind by the blade in mid-air. Dreamlike and illusory, it had already reached the pinnacle of misty light. Soon after, another misty silk thread appeared. One silk thread connected to another, unending. In an instant, a large number of dreamlike silk threads appeared in midair, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. The further it went, the faster the silk thread formed, and the more terrifying its power became. It continued to explode and grow stronger. Rumble! The mist-like threads eventually turned into a misty blade shadow that vaguely filled the entire void. As it swept across the void became clean. It was as if a piece of cloth had been used to wipe the void, wiping away everything. That seemingly simple misty shadow had a power that could make one's heart tremble. The first move shall be called Misty Light. Luo Feng laughed softly. Creating and merging the strongest techniques wasn't hard for the current him. Especially after training with Emperor Shi's and Ninth Abyss techniques for so long, His comprehension and technique mastery were already extremely high. If it was simply creating and merging the strongest techniques, Luo Feng could be even faster. However, after digesting the 3 Ice Mountains mysteries and studying the 360 blade manuals, Luo Feng didn't want to use tricks like Dark Night River to merge the strongest technique. Instead, he wanted to use the true ultimate techniques. The concept of foggy void continuously overlapped and overlapped until it reached the limit of perfection, bursting forth with its ultimate power. Candidate's first move has been created. The cold mechanical voice suddenly resounded. Luo Feng raised his head in shock as he looked at the star in the dark sky. He frowned. Looks like I created my blade technique under surveillance. It's easy to find out if you created it yourself. Creating your own technique and learning someone else's technique have different powers. Even merging the strongest techniques didn't meet the requirements? Seems like the requirements are high. Luo Feng wasn't satisfied with Misty Light Void anymore. He continued to study the 3 Knife Mountains. Time passed. Luo Feng felt that the inheritance of the blade was unfathomable, even the Misty Light Void he created before. He wasn't satisfied anymore. He wanted to create an even stronger technique. Huge Axe Creator's small universe. The Netherworld Ocean clone sat cross-legged, his eyes gazing into space. A thread of God energy formed a human silhouette in space. He was practicing his blade techniques. Countless blade techniques were born. The engraving school was originally very good at creating techniques. Luo Feng's level of engraving back then was only at the Universe Knight level, yet he was able to create the Universe Lord's ultimate golden light technique. Of course, luck played a part in that too. According to the origin laws, creating technique, compared to studying the engraving itself to create techniques, these were 2 completely different methods. The engraving school was more direct. At this time Luo Feng's thoughts changed. Many blade techniques were born. The speed was unbelievable. This was the power of the engraving school. Compared to the 360 sets of secrets of the saber technique, my saber technique is too crude. The path of golden space, it should be even stronger. It should be. Luo Feng had a vague feeling within, especially as he studied the 3 Knife Mountains for a long time. The feeling grew stronger, the excitement within was suppressed, almost as though that level was hard to break through. It had been brewing, as his understanding of the blade techniques grew deeper. His engraving school's level grew, even nearing the limits of the Universe Lord. Luo Feng's comprehension of the next move became clearer. In the blink of an eye, 9 years passed. Inheritance Land. On the chaotic energy flow, Luo Feng gently pulled out the blade on his back. Clang, the blade's hum resounded in space. With a flip of the palm, 1 universe. Luo Feng muttered softly. Rise. The burning God energy was like an endless sky. With Luo Feng as the center, it emanated outwards, enveloping a part of space, forming a world. Immediately after, the miniature universe suddenly shrank and collapsed. As it collapsed, it turned into dazzling golden saber light. There were a total of 10,081 golden saber lights that complemented each other and slashed at the center at the same time, almost like a destroyed superstar fiercely expanding and contracting into a black hole. Its power was simply unimaginable. Luo Feng's face was filled with excitement, saying softly, "This move has already reached the limit of the golden space path. Golden space transformation. 10081 possibilities, all fused into one move, using the destruction of the universe as a medium. Its power is extremely strong, much stronger than the pure self-destruction of the strong. This is the true fusion of the ultimate move. Compared to the master of 5 Turbot's 5 great fusion origin laws, it's probably even stronger. This move shall be called Golden Universe." Excitement! Exclamation! After creating this move, Luo Feng knew that the golden space path, he had already exhausted all of its mysteries. This was already the true limit of the golden space path, a truly perfect move. Candidate's blade technique second form created. A cold mechanical voice resounded. Luo Feng looked up at the stars in the dark space, quietly waiting for a while, after which he frowned. I've already created this move, and it still hasn't reached the requirements of the East Duan River? This still hasn't reached the requirements of the East Duan River. Do I really have to create a technique of the strongest in the universe? Misty Void was a top-level fusion move, stronger than the river under the night sky. It was probably comparable to the Master of Five Turbid's Great Annihilation move. Golden Universe was the absolute limit of the golden space, a truly perfect move. From Luo Feng's point of view, this was the true theoretical limit of the Universe Lord level techniques. There was no way to surpass it. However, even after creating these two moves, they still hadn't reached the requirement. That meant he had to reach a higher level. Strongest in the universe? Luo Feng was troubled. What do I do? Becoming the strongest in the universe was very difficult. The engravings and other paths were all impossible. The engravings. Luo Feng's highest limit was the Universe Lord limit. The other paths were all the same, unless Luo Feng chose a new path and broke through. Only then could he become the strongest in the universe. If he wasn't the strongest in the universe, but wanted to create the strongest technique, it was impossible in the universe C. Without breaking through, he wouldn't be able to comprehend that level of wonder. Of course, back when Luo Feng's engravings technique was only at the Universe Lord level, he was able to create the golden light. In theory, the current Universe Lord that was close to the limit of engravings technique could also create the strongest technique in the universe. Especially with the 360 blade manuals as a reference, and the 3-blade mountains as a guide. In theory, it was possible. Since the East Duan River arranged it that way, with the 3-blade mountains as a guide, he should be able to create even stronger moves. However, it had never been done in the Universe C. It was too difficult. I can only give it my all. Luo Feng gritted his teeth. He couldn't care less. In another land of inheritance within the inheritance space, the handsome blood jade venerable looked at the two towering icebergs in front of him. Countless meteors danced within the icebergs. Even if one did not understand the mysteries behind it, one would find it extremely beautiful. I have a feeling, a move that can push the space and time path to its limit. The blood-red knight muttered. He was searching for that feeling. In another land of inheritance, on top of the chaos energy flow, Lord Stag sat cross-legged, frowning in deep thought. In front of him was a towering ice mountain, with 36 secret manuals as a reference, and this law pattern that contains the ultimate mystery. I was originally a rank 6 Lord of the Universe, and I easily created what can be said to be the most perfect secret technique for a Lord of the Universe, even consecutively creating 2. However, it doesn't meet the requirements at all. Don't tell me I have to create the strongest technique in the universe? Dear Bug Emperor was troubled. He was a level 6 Universe Lord. He had lived long enough. The Universe Lord level techniques were no longer secret. Only because the Sacred Land universe couldn't nurture the strongest, hence he could only be a Universe Lord. If his current strength was in the primal universe, he definitely had a chance to break through and become the strongest. Of course, his current strength was also accumulated through many reincarnation eras. His accumulation was solid, and with the help of the Purple Moon Ancestor, it was naturally extraordinary. According to what the ancestor said, this law engraving is the true ultimate power. It's the merging of all laws within. Using the law engraving, it is indeed possible to comprehend it, however it's very difficult. It depends on one's comprehension. Dear Bug Emperor was extremely troubled. At this moment, some of the ancient Universe Lords, especially those from the East Tharch Sacred Land and the Purple Moon Sacred Land, had already created the strongest fusion technique, so they were all stuck at the same threshold. However, those who broke through the second bottleneck had 36 manuals as a reference and an ice mountain to look at. As for those who broke through the first bottleneck, they did not even have a secret manual, just an ice mountain. It was obviously extremely difficult to reach the requirements of the East Duan River with this most basic inheritance. However, none of the experts dared to give up. They were all working hard. All of them hoped for a chance to obtain the core inheritance of the East Duan River lineage. *****, to be continued. If you like this work, please come to Chidien.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1271. Without becoming the strongest in the universe, they had to create the strongest level techniques? This was like a huge chasm, blocking Luo Feng, Dear Buglord, Yozan Lord, Blood Red Knight and the other strong warriors. In the Universe C, this was simply impossible. Even Luo Feng's teacher Primal Chaos City leader couldn't do it, however Duan Dong River was obviously forcing them to do it. Time passed, in the blink of an eye, another 30 years had passed. Virtual Universe. Huge Axe Creator. Luo Feng sat cross-legged, around him were large amounts of Shi Emperor's 3D images. He frowned as he looked at the savage before him. I've thought long and hard, but I still can't find a stronger blade technique. Creator of the Great Axe, please advise me on how to move forward. The creator sat cross-legged. Duan Dong River's inheritance is an extremely strong inheritance in the ancient civilization. It has extremely high requirements for the inheritor. Since he has such a requirement, naturally there's a possibility. Luo Feng nodded. He too knew there was a possibility, however, how could he find it? He had thought long and hard, yet he couldn't improve. This feeling was extremely painful, and the gold universe was already the perfect limit of the gold space path. How could he break through? He couldn't even find a single flaw. Even if he wanted to perfect it, there was no way at all. This Saber inheritance naturally has its reasons for giving you 360 Saber secret manuals and 3 Saber mountains. The giant axe creator sighed. I too understand that to break through, I have to use the 360 blade manuals and the 3 blade mountains, however I can't find a way to break through. Luo Feng was helpless, even though it seemed like 30 years had passed since he created the gold universe. In reality it had been 30 eras, an entire 30 eras without any breakthrough. How could he not be discouraged? Huge Axe nodded. I've asked the ancestor before. Ancestor? Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Huge Axe nodded, saying slowly, the ancestor said, to break through, the root lies in the 3 blade mountains. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows, thinking within, the root lies in the 3 blade mountains? The giant axe creator continued, only the 3 blade mountains, which contain the ultimate mysteries, can allow you to create a secret technique of the strongest experts in the universe, even though your attainments in the mysterious pattern art are only at the limit of the Lord of the universe. As the saying goes, what is displayed and what is created is not necessarily what is truly understood. What is unleashed and created doesn't necessarily mean that it's truly understood. Luo Feng nodded. What the ancestor said makes sense. Back then I was able to create the golden light, today I will be able to create something even stronger. Luo Feng said softly. In fact, from the experience of countless experts in the cosmic sea, the possibility of creating a mystic art of the strongest level in the universe was 0, and the 3 icebergs gave this matter a glimmer of hope. Difficult. It was too difficult. It wasn't just Luo Feng who was stuck at this step. Many warriors from the East Emperor Sacred Land too were stuck at this step. Even that Blood Jade Knight spent 20 years to create the Universe Lord level technique that could be said to be perfect was also stuck at this step. Primogenitor, there's no hope at all. Venerable Bloodlust sat on a giant leaf and said anxiously, I searched so hard, but I couldn't find anything. Primogenitor. Lord Yozan looked anxious as well. Our East Tharch sacred ground has existed for countless years, but there has never been a Lord of the universe who has created a mystic art for the strongest experts in the universe. How can we break through? Please guide us, Primogenitor. There were other candidates who sat cross-legged on the giant leaves, listening by the side. This was a plain space in the East deity's sacred ground. Time was accelerated to 10,000 times. The entire plain space was dominated by an ancient tree with countless leaves. At this moment, these experts, including the East deity primogenitor, were all sitting cross-legged on the leaves. Those are law engravings that you have never seen before. The East Emperor ancestor's entire body glowed with green light. Sitting in the distance, he said slowly, Origin law engravings, all the mysteries of the origin laws. With the origin law engravings as a guide, it will open the door for you to advance. The group of warriors exchanged glances. Open the door to advance? Study it carefully, don't relax at all. When one of you finally comprehend the strongest technique in the universe, that will be the moment the other candidates fall. The East Emperor ancestor said directly, Yes. The 10 candidates all replied respectfully. Purple Moon Sacred Land. The Purple Moon ancestor smiled, gazing at the candidates. Since that Duandong River gave you the ice mountains, naturally the mysteries are within the origin law engravings. Study it carefully and you will definitely gain something. Abandon all your previous thoughts and study the origin law engravings from many different angles. Yes. Dear Bug Lord and the others all replied. The strongest warriors of the other powers in the vast universe C, when asked by their own candidates, were all at a loss. As even they had never seen the origin law engravings before, they could only say, since there's only one ice mountain, then the path is naturally within. Study it carefully. The experts who had entered the inheritance space had indeed benefited greatly. This was especially so for the lords of the universe. All of them were originally at the 4th or 5th level. Under the guidance of the nomological patterns, it took some time, but all of them had managed to perfectly fuse the strongest mystic arts at the Lord of the Universe level. If they could survive, naturally they would all be at the pinnacle of level 5 beings. It was a pity only one of them would survive. Years passed. Luo Feng had long studied the 360 blade manuals thoroughly, memorizing them by heart. He fully immersed himself in studying the 3 ice mountains, the origin law engravings, just one origin law engravings. Luo Feng's gaze chased after that shooting star-like light. This light would occasionally fly up, occasionally fall down, drawing a perfect arc, simple yet filled with endless meaning. As he watched, that beam of light seemed to have become larger and thicker, almost like a gigantic rainbow. The edges of the rainbow were filled with countless blade silhouettes, either as gentle as water, steady as a mountain, or as violent as fire. Every blade silhouette was an incomparably complex engraving diagram, so complex that it far surpassed the 9th Abyss's strongest engraving diagram that Luo Feng had seen before. Even Luo Feng could not comprehend it. The countless blade silhouettes perfectly fused with each other, forming this gigantic rainbow. This long rainbow seemed to be a simple meteor ray of light, metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, light, lightning, time, space, gold space, water space, wood space, even water time, metal time, countless wonders. It seems like they've completely fused together, yet it seems like they've partially fused together. Luo Feng was intoxicated as he watched. Origin law engravings transcended any single origin law, because it contained all the origin laws, all the wonders. Luo Feng's left eye was always staring at the shooting starlight, while his right eye was simultaneously looking at the 3 ice mountains. Countless shooting starlights fused together, forming a beautiful and mysterious blade technique. Left eye, right eye, one looking at a line, the other looking at the 3 mountains, imprinting each other. It was a different kind of wonder. Luo Feng was most proficient in the gold, space and gold space laws. As for the other laws, he actually touched upon them while studying the engravings. Even though his comprehension wasn't high, he still had some understanding of them. Hence what Luo Feng's eyes were looking at, the one with the deepest understanding was the gold space blade images. While watching, Luo Feng's mind was filled with the 360 blade manual's blade techniques, imprinting them one by one. Naturally, Luo Feng created his own blade techniques. These blade techniques were all based on the feeling of looking at the origin law engravings, working hard to create those blade techniques. The only thing was, the power of the blade techniques were either too weak or incomplete. However, Luo Feng didn't care, continuing to create them after an unknown period of time. Luo Feng was immersed in his creation unknowingly. He had long since dissected the space laws. Even the wood, water, fire and earth laws' usage techniques were all grasped within his heart. Even though he didn't specially study these 4 laws, as his comprehension was too profound, he naturally understood the usage of these 4 laws. If Luo Feng deliberately studied the 4 laws, he would probably be able to completely comprehend them within 2 to 3 days. Gold, space, yet it's gold, wood, water, fire, earth, annihilation, gold. He didn't know how long he had studied for. Space itself was split into metal, wood, water, fire and earth. Luo Feng was extremely familiar with the metal, wood, water, fire and earth as well as space after a long period of study. And looking at the ice mountain, one on the inside and the other on the outside, searching for the ultimate mysteries, he already had a new path to take. It's this blade. Luo Feng wielded his blade and stood up, standing on the chaotic energy flow. He waved his blade. The saber light lit up and instantly streaked across the sky. Then, the light suddenly expanded and gathered into a huge black sphere. The countless saber lights were all suppressed within the black sphere. This saber light actually instantly turned into this huge black sphere. For a moment, the black sphere was tens of billions of kilometers tall. Chi. The black ball fiercely split open and a resplendent gold light flashed. A visible mark appeared in the entire space of the inheritance grounds, not disappearing for a long time. I saw it. New student. Luo Feng closed his eyes, tears flowed from his eyes. It was from the bottom of his heart. This move had allowed him to reach a whole new level. Candidate's blade technique 3rd form created. A cold mechanical voice resounded in Luo Feng's ears. The inheritor has been decided. The other candidates, annihilate. All the candidates, who had been in a frenzy for a long time, were completely immersed in the ice mountain. Suddenly, an invisible force descended from the stars in the sky, directly descending on each of the candidates. No. Blood Red Knight stared wide-eyed, his expression terrifying. No, it should be me, the one to succeed is me. Following which he stopped moving. His body was still there, only his soul had been annihilated. This is... Dear Bug Emperor's expression changed while he was studying, following which he too stopped moving. The other warriors all froze. They all fell, but their bodies still remained. At the same time, the warriors with clones in other small universes, even those in the primal universe, all fell at the same time. When the inheritor was born, the others all fell, a celebration. This chapter was written over and over again, but he was finally satisfied. At the same time, Tomato recommended his wife's book. Tomato Wife has a novel on Qidian too. It's called My Planet. The address is http://www. QDMM. Comweb 225-7551. ASPX. It's best to collect it. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1272. The Purple Moon's first ancestor frowned slightly as he watched the candidates, who were carefully comprehending, collapse one by one. In particular, Lord of the Deer Bug, whom he had placed his greatest hope on, also collapsed. This caused his expression to change slightly. Failed. Purple Moon ancestor frowned. Just who got it? Is it the primal universe human, or East Emperor? Or some other lucky power? Purple Moon ancestor was panicking within. However, he couldn't determine who got the inheritance. He could only say it was most likely the primal universe human. Whether it's me or East Emperor, we both urgently need the Duan-Dong River inheritance. Purple Moon Ancestor thought. That human Milky Way and East Emperor Universe's blood jade venerable, it can be said that if it's not Milky Way, it's blood jade. These two have the most hope. East Emperor is very clear on who got the inheritance. Purple Moon Ancestor nodded. Watch carefully the movements of the East Emperor Sacred Land, or see if Luo Feng is still alive. East Emperor Sacred Land Universe, within a space. On that majestic ancient tree, the candidates who were sitting crossed-legged on the huge leaves all collapsed on the leaves. Some of their bodies even fell from the leaves and fell down, even hitting some leaves. Glowing green, East Emperor's expression changed. He couldn't help but snort. He stared at the corpse of Blood Jade Venerable not too far away. His expression was ugly as he said solemnly, "Human Milky Way leader Luo Feng?" The instant the candidate fell, it shook the entire cosmos sea. Duan-Dong River's inheritance was something all the powers in the cosmos sea desired. To them, it meant a way to escape the cycle of reincarnation. Who got it? Is it the humans or the East Emperor's Sacred Land? Just which side got it? All the powers in the cosmos sea were confused and anxious. However, even the Purple Moon Sacred Land wasn't sure. Only the East Emperor's Sacred Land had some confidence. Because they knew Blood Jade Venerable died, there was a 99% chance it was the human Milky Way leader. I've already broken through and become the inheritor of Duan-Dong River. Luo Feng sent a mail to the creator of the huge axe and the primal Chaos City leader through the virtual universe, after which, he didn't bother with the mail and went straight to Duan-Dong River. Many stone pillars had the silhouette of Emperor Rhino, and within the pillars stood a white-robed silhouette. When Luo Feng wrote the mail to the huge axe creator and primal Chaos City leader, the white-robed man revealed a smile. He already knew the contents of the mail. This silent war in the cosmic sea has decided the fate of our race. We humans have won. The progenitor smiled. He knew. Regardless of whether or not he could escape the suppression of the primeval universe before the next cycle of reincarnation arrived, the human race was destined to have a limitless future. In fact, there was a high chance that the third sacred land would belong to the human race. At the same time, the mail had already reached the creator of the huge axe and the master of Chaos City. Inheritance space. The other candidates die. The cold mechanical voice resounded in his ears. Luo Feng felt something and turned to look into the distance, only to see a silhouette flying in. It was the noble and graceful Duan-Dong He. At this moment, Duan-Dong He was wearing a white armor that had countless golden meteor-like rays of light on it. He was wearing gorgeous battle boots and a helmet on his head. He looked elegant and dignified, and he was in high spirits. Lord Duan-Dong He. Luo Feng bowed respectfully. "Don't call me Lord." Duan-Dong He smiled. His smile was extremely carefree. "You can call me Master. I'm the previous Duan-Dong He, and you're the current Duan-Dong He. I'm your master and also your guide." Duan-Dong He looked at the distant 3 ice mountains. With a wave of his hand, the 3 mountains immediately became nothing. Luo Feng couldn't help but turn to look. His heart immediately ached. Those were treasures. 820 basic inheritances, you can study them however you want in the future. Duan-Dong He smiled. These are all simple paths, it's just a way to relax after training. My Duan-Dong He sect naturally values the core inheritances. Core inheritances? Luo Feng immediately looked forward to it. Follow me. Duan-Dong He immediately flew out. Not far in mid-air, there was a space exit. Luo Feng followed and the two of them flew out one after the other. The moment they flew out, Luo Feng turned to look at the 820 glowing space entrances floating in mid-air. Hide. Duan-Dong He's gaze swept. These entrances had all vanished. This made Luo Feng even more curious. Duandong he smiled as he saw that. This inheritance space is where Duandong he receives the inheritances. It's a truly unique treasure, incomparably precious. Even more precious than your so-called absolute treasures. In terms of uniqueness, it's even more powerful than some small universe. Naturally, it contains a large number of independent planes. With a single thought, I can form 820 passageways that connect to the 820 independent planes of the basic inheritances. Luo Feng nodded. Looks like he just had to treat this inheritance space as a special small universe. Go! Duandong he carried Luo Feng. Using his absolute control of the entire inheritance space, he teleported Luo Feng deep into the inheritance space. Luo Feng felt the scene before him change. He was actually standing at the peak of an incredibly tall mountain. Looking down, he could only see endless clouds revolving around the mountain. The clouds were like a river, however it was hard to see any land. This is... Luo Feng was shocked. This is the highest peak of the inheritance space's main space. Duandong He's voice suddenly became calm and serious. Look there. Following the direction of Duandong He's finger, Luo Feng looked over. At the peak of the mountain, not too far away, stood a majestic human statue. That too was a being in human form, with long hair draped over his shoulders, dressed in a battle robe, his gaze distant. It seemed like a very normal statue, however after looking at it for a few seconds, Luo Feng could vaguely feel the power within it. It was an extraordinary, unique power that far exceeded Luo Feng's understanding. As the saying goes, one cannot speak of ice in the summer. Obviously the power within this statue far exceeded Luo Feng's level. Even he didn't realize it at the start. This is my Duandong He's third-generation ancestor. Duandong He's eyes were filled with worship. His name is Duandong He Ju E Saint. Luo Feng was stunned. Duandong He Ju E Saint? What a weird name. I, the 192nd generation inheritor. Duandong He. My name is Duandong He Zhenkan Wu. Luo Feng was even more suspicious. Wasn't this Duandong He's full name Duandong He Wu? And your future name will be Duandong He Luo Feng. Duandong He looked at Luo Feng. Every Duandong He has the same name. Only the suffix will change. Before I became the 192nd Duandong He, I was called Zhenkan. Luo Feng realized. Then the third ancestor's real name should be Ju E. The third patriarch. Duandonghe turned his head to look at the statue, his eyes filled with worship. He was the greatest existence of my Duandonghe lineage. Although the first patriarch was powerful, he could only be considered a super expert in my civilization. The second generation was the same, but the third patriarch was truly amazing. He truly spread the fame of my Duandonghe lineage, and he himself stood at the peak of the world. Don't talk to me about being the strongest in the universe. In my hometown, that's a huge joke. Duandong He shook his head. Your so-called strongest in the universe in my hometown is called True God. The undying before the true God, Universe Knight, Universe Lord, they are called the same as in my hometown. True God, in my hometown, is merely an absolute warrior's doorstep. Duandong He. Even though they are considered strong, they are still too far from the pinnacle. Even I am far from that level. Luo Feng listened carefully. He had guessed it long ago, only the title of the strongest in the universe was called True God in the ancient civilization. No wonder when the 7 true lords of the Holly-Eyed clan battled the creator of the huge axe, the beasts they unleashed were all roaring about True God, Eternal True God, etc. The third ancestor truly stood at the pinnacle. Duandong He sighed. Even more so, he was respected by countless warriors. He was recognized long ago to have the right to add the word saint to his name, and standing at the pinnacle, he added the word king. the king of saints, the true pinnacle. And I was even respected by countless warriors. Even with the word saint, I'm still far from that. He only barely got the additional title of Wu. Title? Wu? It seemed like someone else gave it to him. And the words saint and king seemed to be recognized by countless warriors. The third ancestor stood at the pinnacle, perfecting the inheritance for our Duan Dong He. Hence, even though none of the later generations were as powerful as the third ancestor, our Duan Dong He inheritance has never been broken. However, the inheritance of my Duan Dong River has never been severed. In the successive generations of inheritance, there are 9 who can be called saints. Even in the entire civilization, our Duan Dong He inheritance is considered one of the strongest. Luo Feng was shocked within. He was actually so lucky. An inheritance, if it could produce a being that reached the pinnacle with such a deep foundation, it indeed had the right to be called one of the strongest. Come, kowtow to the third ancestor. Duan Dong, he said, this way, you will be the 193rd inheritor. Luo Feng nodded. He immediately walked up to the praying mat made of black silk and knelt down, kowtowing. Pung! His head hit the rock. Immediately, the black-threaded praying mat that Luo Feng knelt on immediately emitted an endless amount of black light that swiftly entered Luo Feng's body. The majestic third-generation ancestor statue also emitted a white light that shone directly on Luo Feng's body. Inheritance! Duan Dong he looked at this scene silently, his face revealing a smile of relief. What seemed like a simple kowtow was actually the most important step of Duan Dong He inheritance. Ah! Even with Luo Feng's willpower, he couldn't help but let out a painful roar. Simultaneously, between his eyebrows, a black light and a white light intertwined and embedded within, a peculiar inheritance imprint began to form. Looking at this inheritance imprint, Duan Dong He's entire body slightly trembled. He thought to himself, Duan Dong He, Luo Feng, from this moment on, you are Duan Dong He. It's Monday again. I still have to recommend tomatoes. Please support me. To be continued. If you like this work, please come to Qidian.com to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation.